Yes, everybody, and welcome to High on Homegrown, the cannabis podcast from PercysGrowroom.com. I am Macky from the UK, and joining us this week, we have Billy Barnes.
Hello, and welcome to Cornwall. It's a bit dull here, really, to be honest. It's been windy all week. It's been boring.
It's been really windy this week, hasn't it? It's been nice weather,
Yep.
but windy.
Lovely and sunny, but like super wind. I've had to move plants about, like normal garden plants in the garden, because like they snap and break. And we got some very, 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 very pretty tulips from Amsterdam as well. They're the bulbs I bought
Nice.
in Amsterdam last year. And they're well nice. They're like 3-4 foot tall. But like the wind's coming along and it's like, now they're going to snap them in half. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's been one of them weeks. All right, we
it
don't have
has.
Margaret. Margaret, unfortunately, has no power. You know, she was talking last week about those ice storms and all that shit. Well, you know, it affected her power eventually. She's been 4 days with no power, everybody. So shout out to Margaret out there. Stay strong. Hope you're reading some
Ah,
good books and all that shit. Damn, 4 days. And no John. John's busy doing some sport event kind of thing, as he does. But for today's show, we have special guest. We have Bryan. What are you saying, Bryan?
Yeah, I'm excited to be back. It's been a few weeks, so this will be fun to kind of catch it up and chop it up about cannabis.
Yes, man. Good times. We've got lots to talk about. We've got the cannabis news and events as usual, everybody. We've got five articles I think we're covering today. And in the grow guides, we're gonna be continuing with this little series thing we've got going on right now, where we did terpenes last week, and we think cannabinoids is the next best thing to cover after that, so you can have a good idea of what's going on with those two. And I think we'll go through some strains next week to show you which strains have these different terpenes and cannabinoids on, so you can go out there and make a well-informed choice of what strain you should be getting next. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna be cool. All right, just quickly run through some of these news articles here of what we're going to be covering this week. We got a follow-up. Remember, we spoke a few months ago about there was a house that got blown up, and unfortunately, a young kid was killed in the explosion. And there wasn't much information about it yet. We were just speculating, even though we were told not to speculate. But you know how we roll. And yeah, so we got a follow up on that. It gives more information about how the explosion was caused and all that. So we'll get to that in just a little bit. We also have what I call, you can see in the title there, the drone lawfare, because the old bill are flying drones around trying to find people's grows from heat signatures and shit. And I'm just like, how is that even legal? But we won't go ranting about that just yet. We'll wait until we get to the story for that one. But that's fucking, man. I think that shit should be illegal. They can't spy on us like that. But I said we won't do it. We got one from Billy here. From today, all doctors in Czechia. How do you say this properly? It's not. It's like Czechia, isn't it? Like Czechoslovakia. But they're
Czechia.
separated
It's the
now.
Czech Republic. It's the Czech
Yeah, there
Republic.
we, yeah. That's right. Czech Republic. That's how I know it. Yeah, so they can prescribe medical cannabis now. The doctors just can prescribe medical cannabis just like that. Nice. We got a study from Australia where it's going to tell us what the medical cannabis benefits after 12 months is. So we get to find out what that's all about. And from Bryan, we have Connecticut bill would let police pull over drivers for consuming cannabis. Study blood THC limits for DUI. Yeah. So they're playing that silly game again. So that's all the news articles there, and that's and of course we have forum news as well to catch up with, and then we got the grow guides which we explained. So yeah, that's just about everything. Don't forget to stay tuned for the smoke break as well, because we're gonna do that heads or tails flip to win that Ariza SE for the 1 million downloads comp. So stay tuned for that as well. But there we go. What are you smoking on, Billy? What you got?
Well, I have some more of that lovely cheesy Baywatch stuff from Mr. Chilbert, because it's lovely and cheesy.
Nice.
But obviously, I have hash as well.
So Baywatch is what it was called, wasn't it?
It's called Baywatch, yes, because it's cheesy.
Cheesy.
90s cheesy.
Pam.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, man. What are you saying, Bryan? What you got today?
I got some rosin butter, the Jet Fuel #1.
Jesus.
Stuff.
Yeah, that sounds nice, man.
Properly zooted for today's show.
I bet, mate. Man, if I hit some rosin, I'd probably be so fucking mashed I couldn't do the show. You know, I'd try. I'd still put the effort in. But, you know, it'll be difficult, I think. Must be delicious, man. Jesus. So you have that through like an e-nail or dabbing rig, Dr. Dabber Switch? How do you consume your rosin there?
I have a Puffco.
Okay, nice.
The reason I use a Puffco too is it is nice to have like a setup, proper rig and all that. But having children and it's just not worth it. So I use a Puffco. It's the second best kind of things. I would say it's the best thing for a parent and the second best rig you can get.
Yeah, man.
It's easy to put away, isn't it? Storage. So yeah, I understand that.
And my mom came to visit me like 2 years ago, and she just busted into my office when I had the older rig, and the look on her face was like, her kid was doing hardcore drugs, basically.
Yeah, traumatized. You can still remember the look on her face. Yeah.
No, he's a crackhead.
Oh no! Don't do it, Bryan. He's gonna kill you.
She grew up in like the 60s and the 70s, so when I told her that was weed, she's looking at me like, yeah, right,
Right.
But
She didn't believe you were
explained
smoking cannabis because it was through some complex device rather than a joint.
Yeah, she was like, well, why do you need a blowtorch? And I was like, good question. Let me explain this to you,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that does look a bit cracky. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially to my mom, she's not really like in the scene or anything, so she didn't know what the hell I was doing. And at that time I had 2 children, so
yeah.
I'm sure she was a little worried, like, oh my god,
He's a meth crackhead. No.
He's gonna steal my wallet.
Yeah.
Damn, man. Yeah, I just got the same old stuff in my mitre here, just chilling with a little bit of the nice weed in the mighty. Those delicious terpenes.
What are you smoking on?
I can't even remember what we call it. The same old shit weed. Because it's just the same old shit. When you've had the same harvest for a while, and I can't remember what strain it is and shit. It's real nice. It's an auto from Mephisto, is what it was. And now it's just some fine ass weed, man. Yeah, and smoking in the Mighty Plus from Stores and Bickle.
Nice.
You know that dry herb vape?
I've heard of that. I've heard you mention it.
Yeah, man. Good shit. Dry herb vaping. That's the way to do it because it's just so delicious. You just smoking yours in a joint, Billy?
Yeah, mine's blunted up. I've got my dry herb vape with a bit of hash in it though, sitting there waiting.
Nice.
Just to have button pressed sort of thing.
So do it. And everybody else out there as well, let us know what you're smoking on in the chat, and how you're consuming it as well. What's your preferred method there? Let us know what you're rolling with, man. It'd be good to hear from you guys. You got Chilbert there saying that the Baywatch equals Exodus cheese crossed with Pamela Anderson, hence the name. I think it's a brilliant name. We're very creative there, because Baywatch being extra cheesy TV and it had Pamela Anderson in it, it makes fucking perfect sense, man. Genius. You know what I'm saying?
And they're both from the 90s as well.
Indeed, yeah. But I don't. Pamela Anderson was famous in the 90s, but she's got to be from like the 70s. She was born in the 70s or something, right?
Yeah, but Baywatch was in the 90s, wasn't it? That's when it was famous and popular.
Gosh, that's such shit TV. Sorry out there, Baywatch fans, but yeah, that kind of cheesy TV is just not for me. I tried the weed though. You know what I'm saying? Your Green Grocer says it's under grapefruit gift. What's Mr. Ben Lucas Red Eye got some Lovely gelato. I think that's lovely. Got some lovely instead of lovely. He's put a U instead of an O. See that? Very creative. I like that, Mr. Ben. Very nice. I've got some RS11 in my Mighty Plus with a whip and a water tool attachment from Cornerstone. Very nice. Yeah, Ben and Gary / Mighty from Bogon's Son. Cherry Slimeade from What Up Dogro. What else you got there? Yeah, some nice strains. I'm not surprised though. I'm not surprised. We got a large selection of experienced growers in the chat here.
Oh look, Turpo with some old school mango haze. I'm going Amsterdam next week. I might have to have some of that while I'm there.
Nicholas Haggy with the cherry banana bomb. Delicious. Yeah, man. So yeah, smoke everybody. Smoke. Just coffee.
What?
Just coffee today. Oh, it's early for Cookie Grow anyway. Yeah, it's early. Because being in Australia, it's like 6 a.m. or something for him. I got to 100.
Phil me Bowles has never seen Baywatch.
Not Boo. That's a good thing. Round of applause for you, sir.
What? But he's never seen Pam Anderson in a swimsuit.
Oh, he's got to have seen Pamela Anderson. Sad. We've all seen the tape, though. Right?
That iconic slow motion, man.
You know what I mean? In the red suit. God damn. Yeah. Good TV. Good TV. They don't make them like that anymore, do they? That's music videos now. Is Macky's
Yeah,
head
it is,
spinning or
isn't
is
it?
I'm just too high? No, I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean there. There's nothing wrong with my avatar. Anyway, you ready for the news? Think we're good to go, right? I think that's a yes. Let's go.
Probably yes.
So let's get the shitty news out the way first. Well, like the follow up. We've covered this story before, but I thought we'd get this one out of the way, just because it's a bit of a shit one at the start here. We're talking about that event that happened what was it, 3-4 months ago, maybe just before Christmas, where a young boy, just 7 years old, was killed in an explosion. I think there was another guy killed as well. There was like 3 dead, maybe. We're going to find out throughout the article here. Yeah, so we'll just start off with drug dealer admits killing boy 7 in cannabis gummies lab explosion in Newcastle. And when we seen this initially, we were assuming that it was going to be something to do with edibles making or making some extracts or something like that. And yeah, it seems as if we were correct to assume that. So Archie York was sleeping in an adjoining house when the blast was triggered during a process used to produce shatter. As we suspected, we said this, a substance that was being turned into cannabis edibles known as gummies. So yeah, the guy was probably using a shitload of butane to make a shatter, and there was an explosion. How fucked up is that as well? I mean, it's tragic that any child would die, but this is like a child in the next door house. That's fucking tragic.
The level of stupidity here is just amazingly high.
And if you're in the live chat right now, if you're in the YouTube video, you can see the devastation caused by that explosion. Look at that. There's just a whole house gone there. This is why when it comes to edibles and extracts and shit like that, you really have to be careful, man. I mean, whoever the fucking idiot that was doing this in the first place didn't ever at one point think, oh, my house is going to explode. I'm going to kill a young child. But he went ahead thinking about everything was going to be fine, and everything wasn't fucking fine. You have to be really careful when you're making these extracts, man. It's fucking... And you know what? Chilba just put in the chat there, so sad and so unnecessary. That's it, man. So fucking unnecessary. If this was being made professionally in proper places, this wouldn't have happened again. This is just more victims of the archaic drug laws we have in the UK. Not only can you make not solventless, you can make solventless instead of going for fucking BHO and shit like that. But this guy wouldn't be doing it if it was legalized. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, doing that inside, you're a moron, basically.
Damn, man. So tragic. This story is so bad. We got a man has admitted manslaughter after 2 people, including a 7-year-old boy, died in a house explosion caused by gas canisters used to make cannabis sweets. Reese Galbraith, 33, initially denied being responsible for the deaths of Archie York and Jason Leigh Laws, 35, after the blast in Violet Close in Benwell, Newcastle, on the 16th of October 2024. However, the former construction worker, who was himself badly injured in the explosion, changed his pleas via a prison video link at Newcastle court today. The cause of the fire is now being reported for the first time after Galbraith admitted his guilt. Police have said Laws, and that's one of the people who died, said that Laws was also involved in the production of drugs that got fucking hell. So it was him and his mate making some fucking shatter with BHO, and his mate's dead, and the kid next door got killed. It's just so tragic, man.
That's why you shouldn't support BHO, man.
Yeah,
even on a commercial level, it's just bullshit.
Yeah. And if anybody out there is thinking about making BHO and shit, just don't, man. Use this fucking try and learn lessons from this fool who, just caused so much tragedy in so many people's lives. Ridiculous, man. Just don't fucking do it. Archie was in bed asleep when the blast ripped through the home he shared with his parents Catherine and Robbie and his baby brother Finley. Earlier this week, Archie's mother told Newcastle Chronic, "As a parent and as a mother, you try your best to keep your child safe, and that was took out of my hands." Tragic. We are in the house that's supposed to be the safest place. 6 properties divided into 2 flats were completely destroyed in the explosion, which led to a major emergency service response. Northumbria's police investigations found that flat operated by Galbraith and Laws was used as a drugs lab to produce cannabis concentrate known as shatter or butane honey oil, that's BHO, like we mentioned, in a highly dangerous process. The product was then turned into cannabis edibles, also known as gummies. Claire Armstrong, representing the prosecution during an earlier Newcastle Magistrates Court hearing, said the explosion was caused by butane gas that was in Galbraith's property to process drugs. She added, following the explosion, 100 butane canisters were found. Miss Armstrong also said Galbraith's fingerprints were present on items recovered from the destroyed flat. There he is, the cunt. There he is. Fuck here now. Look at the devastation. If you see again on screen there, everybody, see the devastation here. Look at that. Because some guy was making shatter. Look. It's just not fucking worth it, is it? Look at that, man.
Shatter sucks now anyway.
And
That's
you
like
can get the
buying
legal
the-
stuff, you know?
That's the poop soup, dude.
Galbraith was badly injured in the blast, and his solicitor said at a previous hearing he was lucky to survive. Well, yeah, he's the sole survivor of the event. Michael Gibson, defending at Magistrates Court hearing, added that Galbraith spent a week in an induced coma and that his treatment was ongoing. Mr. Gibson added he doesn't have full use of his arms due to burns. He's weak and feeble. This goes on a read a bit more. Mr. Gibson also told the court how Galbraith has been in regular construction work until the age of 31. Galbraith of Rectory Road, Gateshead, was due to go on trial next month before he changed his pleas. He also admitted possessing and supplying cannabis between November 2023 and October 2024. Judge Paul Sloan KC also remanded Galbraith in custody after he pleaded guilty, told the defendant, "As you will be aware, you face a significant immediate custodial sentence. He will be sentenced on the 14th of May by Mr. Justice Cotter after a report has been prepared." So there we go. That's I'll do this a bit more. I might as well finish it off. Might as well read the rest. There's only a few paragraphs. At a previous magistrate's court hearing, prosecutors said police stopped Galbraith's car in April last year and found drugs. His home was searched and molds to make cannabis sweets were discovered. He was released pending further investigation. Analysis of his mobile phone shows 80 text messages relating to the sale of cannabis sweets. After the hearing, Detective Chief Inspector Katie Smith of Northumbria Police said, "The process of creating cannabis shatter and other drugs in this way is exceptionally dangerous. The truly devastating impact of this case should be enough to make anyone doing this think again. We would also urge anyone who has any information about the production of drugs to come forward so we can take action. You could save someone's life." Man, it's tragic, isn't it? It's just so fucking sad. Yeah. It's,
Fucking moron.
Yeah. And as I say, you know, this guy never did this expecting for it to blow up. But it did, because it happens. Nobody expects it to happen, but it does. You know, when you try dealing with these solvents and shit, it's just dangerous, man. Make hash instead, everybody. You can do it with just water and ice. You know what I mean? You don't need to fuck around.
Yeah,
Hash is
water,
good.
ice, and then you can turn that into edibles if you need to.
You know. Or you could, you know, you don't even need the solvents. Why wasn't you using like MCT oil and putting that into the gummies or something? You know what I mean? There's different ways to do this. It's just absolutely unnecessary. And man, just so tragic.
They're using, or at least in America, this was like cannabis tech in maybe 2008, 2009. It's 2023. You know?
Yeah, it's like as stupid
Or
and
2025.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you know,
like
it's
a
definitely not 2023.
old knowledge. Yeah. Yeah.
Zooty.
Stone motherfucker. But yeah, man. I mean, with rosin out there now as well. I mean, you I don't know. Do you get the same amount? I would assume that you do. I say you get the same kind of yield from rosin as you would do from making BHO, and then you ain't spending shitloads of money on the fucking BHO. It's not
No, you get
massively
more-
dangerous.
You get more back from BHO. But
Oh, do you? Okay.
It's bullshit, though. I mean,
Yeah, it's
If
BHO.
you're yeah, I mean, it depends where you are in life, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but I would think if you're a career type person, you're doing decently well for yourself. When you go out to eat, do you get the filet mignon sometimes, right? If you have that little bit of extra money, rosin is a totally different experience than BHO. And I think your lungs and your whole body and we're going to talk about cannabinoids today, really experiencing those cannabinoids, in my opinion, come from growing the cannabis in a living soil system, and then you yourself getting the skill sets or giving it to somebody else that has the skill sets to wash it for you so that it becomes real medicine, so that you guys can sit here on a Sunday like I am being zooted off just a couple of these, knowing that it's about as pure as you can get, without having any kind of, I know
Mm-hmm.
water technically is a solvent, but when you're really trying to break this down for a beginner, using water kind of almost like blows their mind, if you will, because a lot of people, like the story you just mentioned, still think that they have to use some kind of extreme solvent to get some kind of quality product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, crazy, man. And just, condolences to the people who've lost family members here.
It's
It's tragic,
horrible.
man. Tragic. Shouldn't be like this. And again, I know that the guy is responsible for his own actions and this shouldn't have taken place in the first place, but also the justice system in this country needs to accept their piece of blame as well. Because if it was properly legalized and regulated, this would not have happened. Simple.
Also, education. If people were educated about cannabis, then he'd know how to make it in 10 different ways, and he'd realise that he
Mm-hmm,
don't need to
mm-hmm,
spend his money on the gas. If you know what I mean, because
mm-hmm.
water's pretty much really cheap in comparison, isn't it?
Yeah.
How much gas would he have used to cause that explosion? That's a lot of money in gas, isn't it? If you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can just run or tap,
Yeah, and how dodgy is it as well? Do you just have all them fucking tanks around?
yeah,
You know?
it's
Well,
mental, man.
we were blasting stuff in the early days, right? And we would go to the head shops and be getting some of the gases and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one day the guy, he was like, "Hey, do you guys have a problem with gas from?" I forget how he worded it, but it was basically like from an illegal country. And we were like, "What do you mean, dude?" And then when he showed us, he had all this gas that was from North Korea, and it
Jeez.
like
I mean, there's
if
dodgy countries, and then there's North
yeah,
Korea. It's
but
like I don't have about
it
a
freaked
Chinese
us
one.
out. Yeah, dude. It was so creepy that I was like, "Well, how did you even get this?" And he's like, "Well, I just want to know, are you guys interested?" And I was like, "Man, I am not interested in buying this." But that's kind of where, in my opinion, that's where that world comes from. It's like the seediest, what's the
Mm,
cheapest and cheapest gas we can find. Um, we're
ugh.
doing it in small, confined locations where we don't even know that there's a child next. Or God, if that dude knew that there was a child next door, then it's like he is an ultimate piece of shit. You know?
Yeah, but even if you did, you wouldn't expect an explosion to go through the walls and like collapse the whole fucking house and shit like that. I don't know.
I don't
I'm
know,
not
man.
trying to
That
excuse
gas.
what he did at all. The guy's a fucking idiot. But I wouldn't expect such devastation, man.
To me, that's like, hey, we started a bonfire in my apartment, in the living room of my apartment, and then things went awry. Who could have guessed? You know?
Yeah, yeah. Jesus. But anyway, let's take a look at this next story. What are you saying, Billy, about this shit going on in Australia?
Yeah, well, apparently, an Australian study assessing overall health related quality of life, which is HRQL, because they love breathing and all shit like that, don't they? And other benefits for patients prescribed with medical cannabis, has provided encouraging results.
Ooh.
Ooh. So, led by Curtin University, the Australian government backed Quest quality of life evaluation study. The initiative involves thousands of Australian participants prescribed medical cannabis. In addition to the HRQL, the study delves into the impact of medical cannabis for use for pain, fatigue, sleep, anxiety, and depression. So, participating patients completed the questionnaire at a baseline, and then 2 weeks, and then on 1, 2, 3,
You're
5,
not gonna do
7,
it?
and
You
12
just
months
are
follow
you
up.
just really just gonna go over it like that?
Yeah.
Just not gonna 2 weeks it or nothing? No, just
No.
wow, wow. You've changed, Billy.
Yeah.
The 1 million downloads has got to you. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
So
2 weeks.
of
There you
the
go. I did it. All right.
2
There we
weeks. There you
go.
go.
Fucking hell. Couldn't
So
resist.
of the 3,302 invited eligible patients of the 114 clinicians from between November 2020 and December 2021, which 2,744, 83% reasonable return then, provided consent and completed the patient-reported outcome measurements and demographics. So the study previously found all outcomes reported by patients improved in the first 3 months, and that the researchers hypothesized, I can never say that word, these improvements would be maintained to 12 months. It appears that the hypothesis was correct. So yeah, everyone reporting that basically in the first 3 months that their massive improvement in their health conditions, and
No way.
this continued like over the 12-month period. So statistically significant and clinical meaningful improvements in overall HRQL, the fatigue and sleep disturbance were maintained over the 12 months in patients prescribed medical cannabis for chronic health conditions as well. So states that a new report on Quest, anxiety, depression, insomnia and pain also improved over time with those corresponding in health conditions. So it just seems that like anyone who's reported using cannabis in this thing has said it's positive. Been no negative return sort of thing.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Among their findings, THC dominant products had greater odds of larger improvements in these outcomes compared with the THC CBD balanced ones. However, the CBD dominant medicines were also better than the THC CBD balance for anxiety. So they are finding that CBD is the best for anxiety sort of thing, the higher ratios sort of like. Another interesting finding was the most participants had reduced or stopped their opioid intake by the end of the study.
There we go. That's why it's still illegal in so many places.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yes. Thank you, Billy.
Allegedly, it's okay. Just to correct you there.
Mm-hmm.
So, during the study, the participants are required to pay for their own medication, which is provided by a study partner company. Medicines are offered at a subsidized cost, ranging from £125 Australian dollars. That's nothing. A couple of pence
About 30 pence. Yeah.
Yeah, about 50, about 50 for a 50 ml bottle, or $110 for 10 sachets, including the delivery charges as well. So in terms of oil and based on a 25 milligram THC CBD balanced products, the subsidized price isn't much different from some of the other commercially available products of good quality, they're saying. So it's not much of a saving then. More than 1 million new patients with chronic health conditions have prescribed medical cannabis in Australia since it was legalized in 2016. The researchers said findings from Quest study contribute the emerging evidence base to inform the decision making. So obviously this is all positive. So hopefully the decision making is going to be positive, but obviously I don't think it will be because it's positive. They don't want to, like Macky said, they don't want to take away their profits. So both in terms of clinical practice and at policy level. So the Quest study is expected to run for a total of 5 years and is still recruiting.
What, from now? Fuck's sake, man. You've been legal for 9 years. You're only running the study now? Fucking Jesus.
So for more information, you're an Australian out there and you're interested in this Quest study, just get online and type Quest study and I'm sure it'll come up.
Damn. Yeah, man. Yeah, have a look at it. Yeah. But somebody mentioned in the chat there the UK would still not legalise, even though we've got this Australian study, and it seems like a good result as well. You know, so many people being like, "Oh yeah, I had good effects from this." I mean, they say 100% of the people participating, right? It said all of the participants had good results from using cannabis. Is that what they said, Billy?
Say that again, mate.
They said that all of the people participating said that they had good results.
Yeah, basically everyone reported good results in the first 3 months, and that continued for
Wow.
12 months. There's no really negative stuff there. Sort of everyone's reported positive information back.
That's crazy. Show me
And
another
obviously with
drug that does that.
yeah, exactly.
But and I don't mean drug as in recreational drug. I mean drug as in medicine drug. Something that can be prescribed to you by a doctor. If you send 100 people out there and they give them all the same thing, it's very rare to see everybody come back and be like, "Yeah, good shit. This is good medicine." You know, somebody would have side effects. Oh, it made me feel sick. You know, it maybe turned me into a zombie. You know, all that kind of shit. What do you think of this, Brian? You haven't said much in the background there.
No, sorry guys.
That's all good. It's just, yeah. I mean, because you're legal where you are, you're fully recreational, aren't you? You like fully legal.
Yeah, and it's definitely it's like lost its luster, you know?
Hmm.
Like I think the coolest part that I've seen about cannabis kind of fading out is that kids don't really seem, or at least in Colorado, it's not like the cool thing to do.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
since
yeah.
they can't really get alcohol, it does seem like I don't know, there's better kids in the community than when we were probably little kids running around
Mm-hmm,
stealing
mm-hmm.
cigarettes and trying to find weed.
Yeah, I've seen that as well, where places have legalized and regulated properly. The children don't want to use it anymore because it's just like we've said it before. You know, it just smells like grandpa's medicine. You
Yeah.
know, so it's not cool anymore. It's not the same as it used to be. It's not something you can use to rebel, is it? Your parents would be like, "Oh, thank God he's only using weed," you know.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
wife asked me
basically.
that, and I kind of said the same thing. It's like I would rather them use that than come home and tell me some other wild ass drug that they're using.
Like alcohol.
Yeah, or I
Yeah.
mean, it does seem like for whatever reason, and my kids aren't really, I mean, they're only 9 and 10, thank God, but some of the older kids' parents have been saying that a lot of these kids are into pills because it's a lot easier to get, I guess.
Mm.
So I don't
And
know
it
how
doesn't
that,
smell. You know, that's one of the things.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be harder, I think, for me to detect if your kid was. I guess you would really need to pay attention, but
Mm.
that's the biggest thing to me is like if they're really just and hanging out with their friends, enjoying the weekend, maybe smoking a little weed when they're let's say 16, 17. Am I excited about it? No, but
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I see what
also
you mean.
not like yeah, it's better than some of the alternatives. It's better
Kids will
than
be
what I was
kids, man.
doing. Yeah.
That's right. Kids will be kids. What were we saying about your article then, Brian? While we're here, we're talking about some Connecticut bill. What's going on there?
Well, the reason I wanted to bring this up is because they tried this kind of shit here in Colorado. And basically, for a while, they would have these like kind of like rolling street roadblocks where you'd just be riding down the street at any time of day, and they would try to like catch you into saying something. Like you had,
I think that's
once,
crazy, man. How they can just pick somebody up randomly driving down the road and oh, there's a police barrier. I have to stop and talk to these people. It's like I thought this was America. I thought it was America. What the fuck's going on
yeah.
there?
Well, I believe that it might have even been the ACLU got involved and they found that that was illegal. But for a while there, right after cannabis was legalized, it was like our state's way to say fuck you to the voters that voted for that. And so when that kind of stuff didn't work, then they started to do the article that I'm talking about today. So I wanted to highlight that because they're trying it in Connecticut. So this is the Connecticut bill would let police pull over drivers for consuming cannabis, study blood THC limits for DUI. So like if I'm dabbing all day, my blood THC levels are going to be extremely high, even compared to
Mm-hmm.
somebody that's smoking cannabis all day, like flower all day.
Yeah.
So there's no real apples to apples with this kind of stuff. So the proposal under consideration by the Connecticut's Senate Judiciary Committee would allow police to pull over drivers who are seen consuming cannabis while behind the wheel, which a lot of people do that.
Yeah,
The
but how would you
president
know
of
it was
the
cannabis, though? You know, are they like hitting the bong? They got a dabbing rig up on the dash. You know, it's like,
we asked them because I was a part of Denver Normal for a while, and we asked the police officer that one time, and he said it's classic in the way that you guys smoke it, like a cigarette smoker.
right?
You know how they
Yeah.
do almost the V,
Mm-hmm.
and then he
Mm-hmm.
said a cannabis smoker always does almost like the OK sign where you're
Yeah.
doing more of the like pull. And he
Good
said, so
point.
I just look for you guys rolling down the street, with your shit. Just which way is that hand? And then he pulls you over. So think of that
Lame.
shit too. If you're, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The president of the Connecticut Police Chiefs Association is calling on state lawmakers to pass a bill that would allow police to pull over drivers who are consuming cannabis behind the wheel. CT Mirror reports. During testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee on Monday, Meridian Chief of Police Rob Rosado said officers in the city frequently see individuals consuming cannabis while driving, but that could be the same for anywhere in the state. Yeah, everybody smokes. The legislation would allow police to pull over drivers they see consuming cannabis while driving, or if they smell the odor of burnt cannabis emitting from a vehicle, and would allow the person to be charged under the state's drug driving laws. The bill would also create a feasible study for implementing a THC limit for drivers, akin to blood alcohol levels used to determine drunk driving. Like I said, I was involved with Denver Normal. They were trying to say, in at least in our state, that they had some kind of way to do this on the side of the road, take your blood levels at a THC from THC, kind of like if you're blowing into a meter for
Yeah.
alcohol.
Well, like
And
checking for blood sugar in diabetes, probably something like that, and it pinprick, and then they test your blood on something.
yeah, but it is not accurate. We
No,
actually had a
no.
whole little thing here in Denver about that. So if your state is even talking about this, just know that they're trying to basically catch you when they're setting this stuff up. In a letter supporting the bill, House Republicans called it important and crafted to increase safety on roadways by giving law enforcement officers additional tools to prevent and enforce cannabis-related driving under the influence in the state. While we believe that it would be better policy to repeal the current law that requires police officers to ignore their sense of smell and sight when it comes to marijuana-related motor vehicle stops, allowing officers to stop and search a vehicle based on the smell of cannabis when there is also a visual observation of cannabis consumption is a step in the right direction. And the reason why they're saying all this is because it allows them now to be very vague in the reason that they're pulling you over. Like these things always sound great for the public. Like, yeah, we don't want Timmy just taking bong rips rolling down the street. And there are people that are doing that, but this is more just so they can start to pull you over, maybe get you originally for that, and then
Yeah, and then
you
search the
know,
car and find other shit.
yeah. And if you are, I can't explain to you guys how many of my peers in the early days would be doing something kind of stupid, cowboyish, and while they're doing it, crossing state lines, they're consuming cannabis in the car that they're trying to be a cowboy in. And so sometimes, you got to have a little self control with what you're doing. And we always joked it was, respect for the opposition. I don't want to get pulled over. If I had to get pulled over in that situation, that's the last thing I want is for him to have leverage on me to get out of the vehicle. Because once you're out of the vehicle, uh, and you see another cop show up, to be honest, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So think about those things. I think this notion that a car can't be stopped when a cop, quote unquote, knows someone is smoking cannabis, he said, I don't buy it. In written testimony, John R. Del Barba, assistant legal counsel for the police of Chile, chief public defender, argued against imposing the blood THC levels because it's not accurate. Law enforcement has tried in some of the states mentioned in this section to improve upon this situation for drivers by measuring THC in blood. But even when you are measuring THC itself in the blood, which is psychoactive, it doesn't necessarily tell you how long ago the person used it. Del Barba wrote. And the reason for that is THC is a very fat-soluble substance. And the THC comes out of the blood and gets stored and builds up in a person's body fat. For people who use cannabis nearly every day, such as medical users, their level in their blood can be rather high. It can sometimes be as high or higher after not smoking for more than a day than the level of an occasional user right after they smoked. The bill still remains in the committee. So I just wanted to highlight that, man, because I do see the kind of stuff coming around the country where they're just kind of up to their old tricks where they'll say things so that the soccer moms and the lacrosse moms, that sounds wonderful. They want to get behind it. But, on the ground floor, if you will, kind of thing, they're now using that to pull you over for basically any reason. You could be wearing like a Bob Marley t-shirt without smoking anything, and they're going to pull you over and just start to harass you a little bit. So I would, always leery of anybody that's telling me that THC blood levels, we need that to combat cannabis drivers. And I've honestly seen that most people that are high on cannabis, they're driving too slow, not too fast.
Mm-hmm. You're just being extra cautious.
Yeah, or just stupid about it, where it's like, hey, you really should pull over and eat some fucking M&Ms and chill out for a second.
Yeah, yeah. Just don't drive intoxicated. We've said it many, many times on this show. It's not just cannabis that's got to make you intoxicated, and it's not just alcohol. It's lack of sleep. It's argument with the missus before you leave the house. There's so many things, man. Even prescription painkillers. Some of them opioids that they get you to take really fuck you up. So it's like you need a way to tell if people are impaired, not just intoxicated with something. Just because the presence of a particular drug does not mean intoxication, does it? You need to see it. But it doesn't mean that they're unable to operate a vehicle safely. What do you think of this, Billy? Hello.
Sorry, mate, my mic was on mute and it wouldn't unmute. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to say, to be honest, mate, because I just think it's all the stories coming out now are just a bit odd, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's again, it's in America as well, so it's hard to tell because is it done by state again, or
Probably, yeah.
yeah. So again, it's down to the people in that state to fight, really, isn't it? As well, to start getting a bit more, especially where all the other states are across everywhere is legalizing and that. I think they need to get a bit more pressure on sort of this kind, because we have these issues with driving stuff in the UK as well, don't we? With all the DUI stuff and that. So it's part of the cannabis legalization, which is sort of like dismissed sort of thing. They know people are going to use it. It's just that we need some sort of like clarification, because it's about sort of, are you over the limit or are you impaired? Sort of, they're two different things, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you test Bryan's blood now compared to mine, I consume cannabis, but I don't do it every day anymore. And when I do, I only do it through a vape. But Bryan's hitting that shit through a fucking dabbing rig and shit. But we're probably equally as stoned, and there's going to be a big difference between the percentage we have in our blood, and that's going to be different for everybody. And this is why I need to figure out a way to measure impairment rather than the presence of a particular drug in the system. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? It's the impairment isn't sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
Do you know how we measure it if you can burn properly in Colorado?
Mm-hmm.
You just let them dab it and then see if they blow it out their nose or not.
You know what I'm saying?
If they blow it out their nose, that's an OG right there.
Yeah.
Fucking Billy the Kid says they passed first time. Man, when back in the day when I passed my driving test, I smoked a lot of fucking weed, man. I was not just on the day, but like every day. I smoked fuckloads of weed. I was growing my own, had abundance, and I could just smoke all the time. And I smoked a joint like 5 minutes before my test. I swear when I'm doing my test, I must have stunk of weed, But still, passed first time. Fucking made a couple of minors. Nothing even, it was a good test score. It was way above average test score. You know what I mean?
You know that guy was like the balls on this kid. Just showing up.
You know what I mean? All high
reeking of weed.
And I'd done like one of them intensive courses. Yeah, it's like for 5 days, I'm there with a driving instructor every day, just learning how to drive. And we'd take a lunch break for a half hour and shit. I'd go out, blaze, eat some shit, come back in the car. Must have been stinking all the time. And then I actually passed it with a good score at the end. But the guy was buzzing, like, no fucking way, I can't believe this guy did it. What the fuck? Yeah, good times, man. And that's it. But now, if I did that now, fuck, I wouldn't even smoke a joint now and get in my car. Never mind go take my driving test, and that's it. That's just the way things change over time. You got to know yourself as the driver. Am I in a position to operate this vehicle right now? No. So don't drive. Anyway, there you go. So
this day and age, if you're getting high during the day, you should be using an Uber or something. I mean, that's so much easier than. I think a DUI now costs at least $10K.
Really?
And it doesn't matter if it's a if it's a cannabis or alcohol DUI, it's pretty
Yeah.
much looked at upon the same way. So you got to take all these classes. You're probably gonna lose your license unless it's like,
Mhm.
the cops kind of cool about it. But most people lose their license in Colorado, um, especially when it comes to cannabis. If they've had like a DUI for alcohol and then they get DUI for cannabis, that's usually like an automatic boom.
Right, so we got the next article here, and this is just something I wanted to bring up because I think it's bullshit. I don't know how this kind of thing is legal. And what we have for the title here: man jailed after drone discovery led to 160 plants being seized. And some people might be like, "Oh, but that was a lot of plants, though." I don't care. Man should be allowed to grow as many plants as he likes. If he wanted to go sell them, then he needs a license for it. But he should be able to grow as many plants as he likes, in my opinion. But fuck these guys. A man who grew around 160 plants has been jailed for over 2 years after a police drone spotted concerning levels of heat being generated from the address with a thermal camera. Thomas Rupikis, originally of Pitts Close, Taunton, near Somerset, appeared at Chester Crown Court on Wednesday, the 26th of March, where he was jailed for 2 years and 4 months after pleading guilty to the cultivation of Class B drugs, cannabis. And a large reason I would think that he was getting such a heavy sentence is because he had 160 plants. Because I think, like, in the UK, we got this unwritten rule which doesn't really mean anything, but it can be taken into consideration, where you can't grow anything over 6 or 9 plants, because then that turns into commercial cultivation at that point. And that's why it's good to get plant numbers low if you're in the UK or somewhere that's illegal. Because, the more these people don't know what the fuck is going on, and the more plants you have, as far as they're concerned, the more chance you are of selling it illegally. Even though we know you could have one huge plant that can produce 20 fucking ounces, or you can have 32 little plants that can produce 20 ounces. You know what I mean? So these guys don't know. But anyway, just keep your plant count low if you're in a legal place. Simple. During his hearing, the court was told that on Saturday, the 11th of January 2025, Cheshire police were operating a drone over Jubilee Avenue in Crewe when the thermal imaging camera highlighted a property that was giving off more heat compared to other addresses on the street. Now, this is the bit I think is bullshit. Like, a police officer can't just walk up to your house, even here in the UK for now, but I'm sure those things would change, but they can't just walk up to your house and, like, lean through the kitchen window and have a look, be like, what's going on here? Gonna smell cannabis. It's like, that's an invasion of your privacy, invasion of your freedom. So how is them flying shit over your house and seeing that it's warmer than it should be? How is that not the same kind of thing? You know what I'm saying, Billy? Billy, you know what I'm saying about it? Do I just sound like a fucking nutcase again?
Yeah, we sent out a nutcase, mate.
Right, okay.
Proper loony.
Yeah, that's to be expected. But, I just don't get it. I don't get how it's legal for them to just fly. And it was the same with helicopters, when helicopters were flying around all the time. It's like, are you just flying that helicopter around to find fucking grows in people's houses? Mind your business, man. Mind your business. You can't go invading people's houses like that. Crazy shit, man.
But the thing is, how do they know what the heat source is for? It could be for all sorts. They might be sunbeds. It's like they might
mining
be
Bitcoin,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but
or
they
just
could,
exotic plants, And this is
yes,
what I
they could
thought
have
before.
exotic plants, or do you
It's
know
like-
the miniature with the micro fucking plants? So the lettuces, micro lettuce, and all of that.
Cacti and shit like that. I thought a few times, right? Set up a tent and start growing just exotic flowers, all completely legal, but no cannabis, right? And then just be dodgy as fuck. So then the old Bill do come kick off your door, and they kick the door off, the fucking look through the house, can't find anything. They find the grow tent, and everything in it is completely legal. Like, oh shit, made a mistake here. And then be dodgy as fuck again, so they come a second time and they kick your door off and they search for the house, find nothing, but they find all these exotic plants and be like, oh, it's all legal. They ain't coming a third time. You know what I'm saying? Then you can grow cannabis and not have to worry about these motherfuckers looking for the heat source, because, oh, we've been there before. Yeah, don't go kicking that door off. You know what I'm saying? Good plan, right? Good strategy.
Yeah, but well, if you do that for 20 years and they don't kick your door off, you could have grown for 20 years.
Yeah, Yeah, maybe that's why you got to be real dodgy, you know. Like phoning up the old bill on yourself, like, yeah, it's growing over
Yeah.
there. Need to go have a look, and then phone up again from a different number with a different voice. It's growing over there. You know?
Just get some of your mates to dress up in different coloured hoodies and knock at your door every 10 minutes.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yeah,
Get
yeah.
a proper dodgy walk on and that, you know.
yeah, get a proper dodgy walk, man. Get a really big meaty dog chain and walk around with it like you're looking for your dog.
Yeah,
But you ain't got a dog, you just got a meaty dog chain.
proper
Making it look like you've got a dog.
stereotypical, you know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
exactly.
yeah. Officers were subsequently granted a warrant by magistrates the same day and executed it around 1:20. That's crazy. The same day. I'm sure everybody's aware of how quickly the justice system moves in the UK. With a heavy hint of sarcasm there. But yeah, just to get something done on the same day, unheard of. Once inside, they located approximately 44 cannabis plants being grown on the ground floor of the property and a further 120 plants upstairs. The plants were believed to be worth between... Fucking, this is ridiculous when they say this shit. It's worth between £13,500 and £68,500, which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Officers subsequently conducted a warrant at the address, and on the ground floor of the property you found did they say this already? No. Did they? Yeah, they did. Anyway, yeah, so they found 44 plants on the ground floor. Officers also noted that the windows and the back door had been barricaded with boards and foil. Rupicus, the guy, was also present at the address and was arrested on suspicion of cultivating cannabis. Officers would seize 2 phones and around £210 in cash from his person before he was taken into custody. Despite answering no comment to all the questions posed to him, Rupicus would subsequently be charged and set to appear in Chester Magistrates Court on Tuesday the 14th of January, where he would plead guilty to the cultivation of cannabis. He would be sentenced on Wednesday the 26th of March. Alongside his prison sentence, the 47-year-old was ordered to pay a surcharge of £228. So all plants seized during the warrant were destroyed. Now, Billy, you've been a victim of this yourself, haven't you? This being fucking raided, the police coming for you and shit.
Yeah.
Well, what
Cunts.
could you just continue to say, here's the guy as well, everybody. Doesn't he look like a criminal? But he actually does. But, you know, he's not a criminal for growing weed. Shit. But, yeah, I mean, can you just get away with saying no comment for the whole time?
You can, but it just looks bad. It just makes you look like a drug dealer, basically. If you've got no way
Martin
of explaining.
Scarelli.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a medical user, you'd be able to talk so much about the medical use of it, if you know what I mean, and how you use it and why you're doing it. It just proves that you're a medical user. But if you just go no comment, that just proves that you're just a dickhead.
Yeah, you bet you got something to hide. Yeah.
You've got something to hide, yeah. If you've got nothing to hide, then because they've already busted you, so you might as well explain what's going on. Because most of the time nowadays across the UK, if they can recognise you're a medical user, not much will happen to you.
And this is just concerning, right? Because, you know, back in the day, when we didn't have all this drone technology that we have now, to put the chopper up was quite expensive. It's some ridiculous amount of money, like £10,000 an hour, to put a police chopper up in the air for them to go around looking for cannabis grows. It was expensive, you know, they couldn't really afford the budget. But now, if you can just get a thermal fucking imaging camera on drones, like, damn, man, that's really scary. How hot does it have to be? You know, can they just fly by and detect 26 degrees? And then if so, they can just come and knock on your door and be like, oh, we need to look around because we suspect you're growing cannabis. This is concerning, right?
Yeah, but they do need a warrant, though, don't they?
Yeah, but they can get one. They can just go back to the judge and be like, Judge, we got a suspected cannabis farm here. Can we go check it out? They'd be like, yeah, sure. Crazy, right?
Yeah, but there's not much. If that's what they're going to do, there's not much you can do about it. It's more the laws need changing and the police need educating than anything.
Yeah.
It's a waste of resources, basically. Again, that's just what it boils down to. It just shows you that we're under draconian, tyrannical.
Laszlo in the chat
UK.
said here, he said, I had around 18 to 20 plants in 2009, tried to do me for 25 to 30k under the POC, the Proceeds of Crime Act. it was a money making racket. That's fucking crazy, man. Damn. Liam's, he said it's the infrared radiation that shows up. It's not as simple as scanning for 26 degrees. Yeah, I know what you're saying. But you know, they can find out that shit with good enough cameras, man. And in this particular case, they were looking for heat, right? But it is done by infrared radiation as well, for sure. Yeah, Mylar was invented for this purpose. Good point. You know, because if you and you can see that kind of thing in effect as well. I don't know if you can do it now. It's been a while because phone cameras have been updated as they do. But if you look at the tent with your phone camera, you know, put it on video, press record, you'll see all these lines flashing. But it works with the HPS. I don't know about LEDs nowadays, but you see like loads of lines, and that's the infrared shit. And then if you zip up your tent, it shouldn't be there. And if you open it, then you'll see these infrared rays coming out and making these lines. So check that out with your phone if you want to check if your tent is keeping in the infrared rays and shit. But just be extra cautious out there, everybody, especially if you're in the UK or illegal places. You gotta be careful of these motherfuckers, man. They are willing to bend the rules to come and take you down. But we have one more news article here, a good one actually, a good news article here from Czechia, from the Czech Republic. What are you saying, Billy? What we got here?
Yeah, so basically in the Czech Republic, all general practitioners, or GPs, as we'd like to call them, from today, or from April the 1st, no April Fool's joke here, is authorised to prescribe medical cannabis to patients who are suffering from chronic pain. So basically making a significant shift in accessibility to the drug, which is quite mad that you can now just go to your general GP and go, I've got pain, I want to use cannabis for it. And he's like,
Okay.
there you go, sir. Signature. No specialist of needed. So until now, only specialists, of whom there was approximately 250, could issue prescriptions for medical cannabis. Under the new regulations, GPs will be able to provide prescriptions, simplifying access for patients with long-term health conditions. So for patients, this means a more streamlined process. Physician Pavel Kubu told the Czech media outlet Sezam Zapravi, notably, that he also says that from today, patients will be able to receive a 3-month supply of their single prescription rather than just for 30 days, which is
nice.
handy as well. Yeah. So the new rules are expected eligibility as well, allowing minors under 18 to receive cannabis-based treatments if they have oncological diseases or require palliative care for incurable diagnoses, which is really great, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So according to the law, a patient is entitled to a maximum of 180 grams of dry matter per month, which is quite a lot, really, isn't it? To be honest,
Yeah, but
that's
like,
reasonable.
4 or 5 ounces at the most, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Right. So the medical cannabis has been a steady increase in use in the Czech Republic in the first year after its medical legalization in 2013. So it's like 12 years now. So pharmacists dispense less than a kilo of the drug. So shit, man. In 2013, only a kilo. So by 2021, the figure rose to 100 kilos.
Damn.
Yeah. And in 2023, that went to 320 kilos. So
That's
yeah,
progress.
that's proper progress. Yeah. Yeah. So official statistics indicate that around 8,000 people currently use the dried version of the drug or its extracts for medical treatments. And so some people obviously think that's a higher number because it's not all disclosed rather. And according to the National Monitoring Centre for Drugs and Addiction, around 600,000 people nationwide use it purely as a medicine. And they reckon about 1 million use it for home treatment last year. It's quite a significant amount for a smaller country as well, isn't it? 1 million people.
Mm.
So, but again, it shows you that a lot of people are now realizing that it is medicine and they're open to using it. If you get what I mean, it's the people are choosing this themselves. So
Yeah.
even without the legality, it's becoming irrelevant now.
And it's
So
another step forward in Germany, in Europe, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So despite the broader access, the chairman association of the general practitioners, Peter Sonkar, does not anticipate an overwhelming surge in demand. Again, because it seems that most people who are using it already are. So it's sort of like
Mhm.
obviously there'd be a bit more of a surge because the GPs can prescribe it, but you just make it easy for the people who are getting it. They don't have to go to their specialists anymore as
Mhm.
well. So I bet the specialists are a bit pissed off because they won't be earning so much money. But maybe they're not, because then they can then actually become specialists again rather than just prescribing cannabis patients all the time. Because if there's only 250 specialists, they must have been spending a lot of their time doing cannabis prescriptions.
Mhm. Mhm.
So so they welcome the change, emphasising that GPs already prescribe stronger opioid-based medicines, including fentanyl. So cannabis is significantly less dangerous and does not have a strong effect. It would therefore be strange if the GPs could not prescribe it, he explained. Oh, look, someone talking common
Oh no!
sense.
Did you hear that common sense? Then did you hear it?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's a rare thing
Wow.
to see. That is.
Yeah, isn't
Fuck,
it?
you
I
know,
might
it's
have,
like
might
hen's
have to
teeth.
repeat that. Sonko, welcome to change, emphasizing that GPs already prescribe stronger opioid based medicines, including fentanyl. Cannabis is significantly less dangerous and does not have such a strong effect. It would therefore be strange if GPs could not prescribe it, he explained. Oh, look, an expert explaining stuff correctly. So, cannabis is commonly used to treat chronic and neuropathic pain, neurological conditions, multiple sclerosis, and HIV related symptoms. It's also utilized in palliative care for terminal cancer patients. And patients who want to use the drug will need to present the demonstrable proof that their condition and that it requires treatment with cannabis. Well, that's quite easy, really, isn't it? To be
Mm.
honest, like so. While the changes reduce some bureaucratic hurdles, QB believes further improvements are needed. He pointed out the restrictions on which the medical conditions qualify for cannabis prescriptions, contrasting the Czech approach with more flexible policies in Germany, Poland, Denmark, and the Netherlands. So, just to widen what conditions it's used for is obviously needed for sure. But it's hitting all the main ones. So, that's especially the chronic pain side of things as well
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
GPs.
What they should prescribe it for is if somebody wants to try it. You know, just,
Yeah,
what the fuck are they even talking about? Just let people try it, and if it works, then it works, and if it don't, then try something else after. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
exactly. hmm Especially if you're using opiates or fentanyl and you want to
Yeah.
say, I want to use less stronger drugs. And it's like the
Mm-mm.
doctors, yeah, try some of this. So if the treating doctor in these countries deem it appropriate, they can prescribe cannabis just like they can the other medication. There's no reason for excessive bureaucratic oversight, he's adding. So, additionally, the financial barriers remain. The cost of cannabis-based treatments are often exceeds the national drug reimbursement limit, so making them financially burdensome for the patients. So you basically have to pay for half your own weed in a way, it
Mm.
seems. So and that's he's saying that they
Or
will need
grow it,
to
you
sort of
know.
yeah. So just moving forward again. So well done.
Yeah, another step forward in Europe, man. Very good to see.
Yeah, I
Brian,
do
We're
we can.
think
getting
that
there.
the patient should have some kind of monetary thing in that. Otherwise, I don't think that the patient appreciates it the way that they should. Just wanted to say that part.
What do you mean? I don't.
Some
Like,
financial contribution. Yeah, I understand what
yes,
you
Oh
mean.
right,
Yeah,
yeah.
because
So they need to pay a little bit. Yeah.
yeah, just so they don't like. There's an air of like entitlement, not with everyone, obviously, but when you're talking about the masses, or if you just make them pay a little bit more, I think they appreciate it, and then it helps everybody else out because there's a little more
yes.
income.
Some conditions should get completely free, like cancer and HIV, maybe. But people with
Right, that's on
like
another level. Yeah,
yes,
that
people
should be
with
RSO, really. That
yeah,
shouldn't
people
be.
with foot pain, like yeah, no, you have to contribute towards it because you've only got foot pain. If you know what I mean? If you know what I
Yeah.
mean. So yeah, it's like yeah.
Hey,
See,
foot
there are
pain is
levels of
debilitating, man.
yeah,
Gosh.
but
But
still,
yeah, I know what you're saying. It prevents
yeah,
waste,
yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah, exactly, just to prevent waste as well. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. But damn, another good step there, as the UK sees. I mean, it must be crazy for you, Brian, because you're so legal where you are, you know. And just to hear these stories, like we're still living in the fucking Stone Age over here, you know.
Yeah, it is kind of funny. Like you guys live kind of in in the past with some of those things. Even
Yeah.
talking about BHO in general, I haven't heard anybody
Mhm.
blasting. I mean, that's the whole reason that's called blasting, or at least in the like gray market. Hey man, are you coming to my house to go blast? Blah blah blah, is because of how dangerous it is.
Yeah.
That's why no one really does it. So I hope that there's a lot more education. I'm glad that we're a part of your show, Macky, where we can kind of educate that if you guys are doing that, then you need to realize that that's almost like a CD player at this point. Like there's
You know,
MP3s
yeah.
out there, baby.
You on
You can
you on
have all that
cassette,
shit on
bro.
one
You
disc.
know?
Yeah, get all the trichomes in one little fucking dabber. That's what you're
Mm.
after, man. Trying to blast it and
Yeah.
then burn it off and all that. That is a skill set that
Yeah, so
you know.
I think it's just good to lump this all up together and just be like, stay safe, everybody. Don't get caught. Don't be doing stupid things like making high solvent cannabis extracts and all that shit. Just stay safe, man. Be responsible. Damn.
Yeah, and if you're gonna do that, then that's something that you like go out into the woods with your buddy or a couple people, and you're doing it
Mhm.
out safely where you're not affecting someone like the previous story.
Yeah, and if you are doing it in the woods and shit, don't have a campfire. It's not just don't.
Yeah, it's-
You know.
Yeah. That's the thing. You need to tell these people this thing because they're that dumb.
Yeah, and they let everybody else down.
Yeah,
Just that
totally.
one fool out there lets everybody else down. But anyway, we've got some forum news that we'll cover here. This month's Plant of the Month will be open tomorrow, so make sure you get your entries over there. And there'll be a few weeks worth of entry before the poll goes up, so make sure you get on that shit. Zindi, I can't. Zinshindi. I don't know how to pronounce your name properly. It's one of those forum names that's difficult to pronounce. I think that's about right. You know who I mean. Yeah, we're gonna call you member of the month this month because you've been participating, around the forum quite a bit, and we've noticed your efforts. So I thought we would say it's you today for just a difficult name to pronounce. Here we go. John R. Lewis won March's plant of the month massively as well, quite far ahead in the lead, man. So yeah, good, nice plant there. You've been added to the plant of the month Hall of Fame. And yeah, the bling's been added, an extra one, because this is the second plant of the month at John R. Lewis's one. So he gets the 2 plant of the month wins. Nice. Yeah, get in touch. Send me a message if you want some beans and stuff. I'll get some posts out this week. And there's going to be more giveaways over on Percy's this week. We've got one lined up where you can win a t-shirt and shit. Yeah, check that one out. But that's not out yet. It's coming this week. And we got, more comments coming over the next week for the 1 million downloads celebration. And of course, 420 is coming as well. So lots of comps over on Percy'sGrowroom.com. If you're not a member yet, then get over there and get signed up. It's all free. And you get to participate in all of these cool competitions that we have. You know what I'm saying? What else? I think that's everything, right?
Yeah, man.
Think so.
I think so.
I think that I was gonna add something else. What the fuck was it? But I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah, I remember what it was. But yeah, we're going to the smoke break to do it. So yes, that's all the news. Anything else to add, or should we go for a break? Going for a smoke break? Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
well,
yeah.
I've already pressed it now, so we're there.
Oh, we're there.
Yeah, so we
No
have the
choice
coin
now.
flip. Coin flip is here. You can see the coins up on the screen. Let me just read out what we have. If any of these entries are incorrect, because I can make mistakes sometimes. If I put you on the wrong side, and we can see posts previously to this where it shows that you put me on the right side, Macky, then of course we'll fix it. But I got this as close to as possible as being accurate. I hope it is. So those guys who picked heads, just in case anybody is listening and don't know what's going on, because we hit 1 million downloads, we're doing loads of giveaways and shit. This is the first one of many. And here you can win an Oriza SE, I think it was called, an SE Air, one of these dry herb vaporizers from Oriza, one of our sponsors. So whoever wins this heads or tails competition wins an Oriza. Nice and easy. And it's going to be heads or tails. Everybody has picked heads or tails now. So we have everybody lined up. We're going to flip a coin, and whoever gets it right goes on to the next round. And we'll flip the coin again in a few days or something. We'll see what happens. So for heads, we have Cookie Grow, Green Grocer, Cannabro, Mad Dog, Adam Bomb, John R. Lewis, Tubpotamus, Gold Seal, also known as SG2, Jamie Scott, Improper Weed Viking, Kiffer, Savons, Loose Hunt, Sparky Dave, Stash Nugs Moore, Billy Bonds, Bang Switch 2A, Yorkshire 420, Filmy Bowls, and John Colson. They are all on heads. And for tails, we have Firetop, Grumpus, Irish Grower 420, Type 1 Grower, Gellert, Aussie Jim, Oso, G Zilla 420, Cornerstone, OBX Bud, Big Smirkin 420, Plain Co, Hawk 518, Butters, Artman, and Hashimoto. That's everybody there with your choices. Now all we have to do is flip and see what happens. We all excited? We all excited? Yay! I excite.
I excite.
I excite. Right, let's go. I'm gonna do it. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Good luck, everybody. Heads. For those who chose heads, you go through
Get in.
to round 2. So let me just
Give us some
shout
head.
those names out while we're here. So these guys go through. Cocky Grow, Green Grocer, Cannabro, Mad Dog, Adam Bomb, John R. Lewis, Topopotamus, Gold Seal, Jamie Scott, Improper Weed Viking, Kiffer, Savans, Loose Hunt, Sparky Dave, Stash Nugs More, Billy Bonds, Bang Switch, Yorkshire 420, Filmy Bowls, and John Colson all go through to the next round. You'll see a thread go up where you can put in your next entries. And yeah, we'll do a flip in. If we can get it done fast enough, we should be able to get it done for Thursday's interview. So yeah, check it out. For the Patreons, when we do the Patreon stream, then we'll do another coin flip there. So yes, well done, everybody. Well done. And of course, if you want to participate in future competitions, you have to be a member over at the forum, everybody. So get there and sign up. It's all free. Done. There we go. So what else is going on? What are we saying? Nothing.
Oh yeah, we're all
Nothing.
smoking.
Yeah, we're
we
just
was all
chilling. We're
smoking
gonna
then.
take
I was.
5 minute chill. We're gonna smoke.
Yeah, laid back Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
What's the weather
Oh, yeah,
like where you are, Brian? Is it picked up, man? Because Margaret isn't here because she's had an ice storm. But it's beautiful and warm here in the UK right now. And John had snow as well. But what's it like
it's
where you are?
just starting. It's just starting to get nice. It's
Right.
been about yeah, but this upcoming week it's going to be really nice.
Oh man, loving the springtime. It's been gorgeous weather for the last couple of weeks where I am. Very nice.
Yeah, it's nice. Makes
Strange
you
as well.
remember, like, oh yeah, the sun matters. Should probably go outside.
Yeah, good. Actually,
Yeah.
go outside, man. Oh, it's so nice out there. Yeah, vitamin D is important. You know. Sorry, Billy.
Yeah, I won't be here next week as well.
Oh
Remember?
no! Oh no! I forgot. Where you going again? Amsterdam for your 50th, right?
I'm going to Amsterdam. Yep, for my 50th birthday.
Wow. Which day is your birthday?
Wow, good for you.
Next week, next Sunday.
Next Sunday is your birthday?
Yep.
Whoa! And you're not even going to join us, man? Fucking hell! What an
No, I
asshole,
might do.
everybody. You know what I
I
mean?
might do. I can might log in on my phone for a bit to tell you all cucks and stuff.
Yeah, from the smoke break, jumping on the smoke break. Don't laugh at him, Brian.
Yeah.
It encourages him. Don't do it.
Just the fact that he would call in, you know, it's my birthday. You guys are cucks. Have a nice day.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that'd be the message.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I may do.
Yeah, but happy birthday, man. I'll probably speak to you before then, but you know, if I don't,
Yeah, man.
fucking happy birthday, man. That's awesome. 50, man. The
man.
big 5-0.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. We've
That is a
gone and
big one,
smoked some
man.
hash in the old Bluebird and stuff. Some of the old coffee shops.
Nice, man. You have to
So,
go pre-DME.
got done smoke the hash. Yeah, I am. Yeah,
Saying.
that's right near the station, so you can go off with your luggage, sit pre-DME, have a couple of joints, then go down to your hotel. Sorted, innit? So
Damn.
yeah.
When was the last time
Makes
you
it
went? It's only
easy.
been a couple of years, hasn't it, since you've been to the dam?
Oh no, it's last year, mate. It's end of
Yeah,
end of
yeah.
last year we went. Yeah. I wasn't going to go, but it's my 50th, so I've decided that I can't be in the UK for that. That'd be wrong.
Of course. It's going to be a good
So,
trip, man. The missus going with
yeah.
you as well, yeah?
Yeah. Yep.
That's good.
It's not a bender.
Can't
it's
let
not
you
a-
go on your own, you know?
No, exactly. No, that'd be dangerous.
You know what I mean?
I'd have to interact with the public.
We wouldn't see you
Can't.
until you're 55th, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Till they run out to Amsterdam, run out of hash.
But yeah, man, have a good time. You know, you probably haven't been to Amsterdam before, have you, Brian? It's a bit far for you.
No, I've never been to Amsterdam. I wish.
Yeah, beautiful
Yeah,
place, man.
it is sort of. We forget that's one lucky thing about Europe has is Amsterdam, but I'd still think I'd rather be in America with some of their laws than fly to Amsterdam because I wouldn't have to go to Amsterdam, would I? I could just go to somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's oh well, it is what it is.
Yeah, man. So I need to pop downstairs and get a beverage. 'Cause I could text the missus, but then she might not get it. You know, she's probably watching TV or something. Watch some cool TV. Yeah, I'll come back in a second and I'll tell you about this cool TV show I watched this week. But yeah, be back in 2 minutes. Just talk about stuff between yourselves and nothing too crazy, Billy. Fuck.
Oh, right, okay. Right, I'll ask Brian if you said cool TV. So what's your current cool TV? Do you watch any TVs or movies regularly when you're time off?
No, man. Honestly, right now I'm really working pretty hard, and I have 2 kids under 2. So I'd say if I'm watching TV, it's something called Miss Rachel. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Yeah, sort of. I know you. That's what I was gonna say. If you got kids, that is your TV now, then, isn't it? Yeah, big kids programs for the next 10
Yeah.
years. That's your TV.
I like that Paw Patrol though, man. I'll be checking that out with my daughter. You know,
Yeah, yeah. I suppose you get online and have a
catchy.
look at. Yeah, you can find stuff that you wouldn't mind watching yourself, and then introduce them to that rather than the other way round. You don't want them finding something you're going to find incredibly like annoying. So yeah, I would maybe then just look at as many kids programs as possible. And think I can sit and watch an episode of that. SpongeBob SquarePants ain't too bad, but
Those
it's,
those kind of like I guess maybe a little bit older kid cartoons.
mm,
If your kid's 2 or under, that stuff doesn't seem to work. Like you need the
yeah.
Miss Rachel type where she's almost going like above and beyond with her voice. Otherwise, my son just yells. But you put Miss Rachel on, he is starting to clap, and I don't know what she's really good with, I guess, facial expressions.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say that, don't they? That the face is speaks 1,000 words, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's really good. I know a lot about Miss Rachel to be honest, and I just learned that she had to take some time off because moms around the country were bullying her because she's not that pretty, is what they said. Can you
Wow.
imagine that?
Wow.
I thought that
Crazy.
was like, this lady is teaching your kid basically for free. You know, all you gotta do is put on YouTube, or she's on Netflix now. And you're
All I've got to
like,
say, bro, is you want to see the state of my daughter's English teacher. Just saying.
I don't understand why that's a weird.
Yeah, you know, it's like, oh, you're not good looking enough to be a teacher? Jesus.
Yeah, that
I
was
think,
what she wrote that in a thing. Like somebody wrote, if you're going to educate young children, then you need to work on your appearance. And then people haven't seen Miss Rachel since. It's been like 3-4 months.
oh, wow. That's fucked. She's
It's
probably
like,
got to
man,
have a
you heard
nose
that
job
lady.
and all that, innit?
I feel like a lot of us need to rise up, like gang style, and go after that woman because we need more
Oh, no.
Miss Rachel content.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you mean there.
She's good at that shit, man. Somebody hurt her feelings. Now she doesn't want to help us out.
Know what I mean? Occupy my kid, man. My kid likes you more than likes me.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, but Paw Patrol as well there, Brian. You said fucking Paw Patrol. My kid used to watch that back in the day as well. Paw
Yeah,
Patrol, whenever there is
catchy.
trouble.
There's like
Yeah, good
rubble
shit.
and all these different like little. You can. My daughter lights up when it comes on. Same.
You got a boy and a girl.
Yeah, I got 3 boys and a girl.
Right. All under 2? Oh no, you've just
I
got
got
2 under 2. Yeah.
yeah.
That whole Thomas the Tank Engine thing was a challenge for me. Fucking hell. My boy loved that for years.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to that. I don't really see that around as much. It was like Paw Patrol became the new
Yeah.
hot.
But anyway, yeah, the TV I've been watching this week, fucking what was it even called, man? I don't even know what it was called. Shit. No, it's called Karma. Yeah, that's right. It's a Korean TV show. It's pretty good. Yeah, I enjoyed that one. It's on
South
Netflix.
Korean.
Yeah, of course, South Korea. They haven't released no TV shows from North Korea.
I'm just
Yeah.
making sure.
Yeah, the
That's
Grumpus mentioned
Good
Ren and
shit.
Stimpy there as well. Like, yeah, you know, saying this woman's ugly and shit. I did a lot of learning from Ren and Stimpy. So fuck yeah. Good TV. Jesus. We go on
That's
some
just wrong,
tangents,
man.
man. What is?
Telling the woman that she don't look right. Good
Yeah,
enough,
yeah, it's
like,
bad, isn't it? You know, she's just there trying to educate kids, and you know, she was probably loving it as well at some point, and then some dickhead's got to say some shit. But this, I don't know. I think there should be like some kind of training or something for people who start to get big on the internet to be like, don't read the fucking comments, man.
how to ignore trolls, like,
Yeah, you know, because there's trolls out
yeah.
there. You just have to ignore it. You know, you get all like 100 good comments and get that one bad one. And you got to remember the bad one more than the others. It's just how we work, man. So it's best to just not read them if you can help it. Damn,
Yeah,
poor woman.
that lady's getting more views than most people. Like she has some of her videos have billions of views.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think she should worry about what some housewife in Kansas City said. You know.
Damn, you know,
Yeah, the
probably sitting there eating the
housewife is probably
McDonald's.
ugliest sin as well. Or she's
Hmm.
probably on OnlyFans as well.
Yeah, OnlyFans is going to be a thing of the past pretty soon. You've seen the releasing just AI OnlyFans
AI,
stars now
yeah,
who are making a fucking
AI
fortune.
fans. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have some fat dude there making his girl do shit. Like,
Ugh.
yeah,
They released that basically OnlyFans, unless you're in the top, it's kind of like multi-level marketing where the people doing it, they barely make any money.
pretty
Mhm.
much,
So
yeah.
so I thought that was funny that your girl's out there doing all that shit. She's bringing in $90 a month. You know? It's like,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is worth it.
And start off with foot pictures or something, doesn't it?
You gotta build that audience.
There's actually there's an audience out there for that. Lily Allen, one of
Yeah.
the musicians we have here in the UK, she said that she would, or maybe she did. I think she does actually sell pictures of her feet on the internet, and she said she makes more money from that than she did from the music industry. Just selling fucking pictures of feet, you know.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
a good gig, man.
You know what I mean? I'm considering it. Get my fucking feet up there. Like, yeah, look at that. Fuck, you know, just shave the hairy toes a bit, you know?
Look at that big toe, mate. No, but they like the hair. The hair's that
Oh,
does it,
that's
mate.
fucking sick, man. Fuck. Fuck. Make me actually cringe, bro. Shit.
Unwashed hairy feet, mate. Extra money they are.
Oh,
If you got
cheesy
scum in your
toenails.
toes, yeah, your
foot
cheesy
fungus,
toenails
toe
and all that.
jam.
Yep.
Some
Oh,
athlete's
my
foot
God.
there. Oh, we getting
Where's
hot
this
now.
podcast going?
You know?
Yeah. Fire rubbing stuff that is.
Sign up
yeah,
to our
so short.
OnlyFans and we'll show you our
Yeah.
feet. You know?
Ooh.
You know,
Only
it
feet.
gotta be only feet. Man, that's probably already
Yeah.
a site, Billy. Actually, that's probably what
Yeah,
you're
probably.
saying it. Because you've probably been on it. Probably a
Yeah,
member.
don't.
You know?
I own it.
Jesus.
Only
Anyway,
socks. It's called anyway.
before this conversation just evolves further and further, I think we should move on to some grow guys and talk about
I reckon we should. Yeah.
cannabinoids rather than bunions and ingrowing toenails. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it. So it's all about cannabinoids today, everybody. Last week we covered terpenes and we explained loads of those, and we realised we haven't covered cannabinoids yet either. I know a lot of you probably already know some stuff about cannabinoids. There's going to be some stuff that you don't know as well. So I thought we'd do just a basic run over of what cannabinoids are, what different cannabinoids do, and what cannabinoids in general do to like your endocannabinoid system, which some people don't even know what that is either. So yeah, let's get stuck in some of that, and I don't know, just ask questions if you have questions as we make our way through, and let's talk about some cannabinoids. Do you like cannabinoids, Billy?
I would say that's a positive yes. There.
Oh right,
Definitely
right.
love them.
Nice. What are you saying, Brian? Do you enjoy cannabinoids?
Absolutely. I actually had some hemp seeds in my smoothie. And then I'm sitting here obviously enjoying some THC. And then sometimes adding a little CBD throughout your day can kind of balance everything out so that you're not like, I don't know, like your typical stoner, not getting anything done.
Yeah, man. But stereotypical stoner, not getting everything done.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so if you understand cannabinoids, then you can start to kind of almost tailor your day a little bit to if you're a daily smoker like that, where it doesn't affect you in the same way where or at least when I was younger, if you smoked like a blunt of really anything, it just affected your entire day, wrecked your day really in the
Yeah,
earlier
yeah.
early days.
Mm-hmm.
Where now, if an adult and you really understand how this stuff kind of works, you can use more of a sativa based as long as you know who you're getting it from. Um, in my opinion, most of the dispensaries that are saying that is obviously a marketing, a gimmicking thing. They are mixing all of that because the time and effort it takes to be able to separate that and do like
Mm.
just pure sativa or just pure indica, that's so labor intensive that I think most people are lying about that when they say that, unless it's a well-known boutique shop.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, man. Well, when it comes to cannabinoids, right? You mentioned a couple there, Brian. Yeah. So when it comes to cannabinoid, we've got the most popular one. Let's say it's the most popular one, the most well-known one, which is just THC, right? We're tetrahydrocannabinol is what it's called. So I remember being young and knowing that word and being like, yeah, I know so much about weed now because I know what THC is and how to say it. It's like saying deoxyribonucleic acid. For DNA. Like, look at the strong scientific word I can say. You know. But yeah, THC, man, this is the one that's gonna get you high. It's the main psychoactive cannabinoid, is what it's known as. And yeah, that's where you feel buzzed when you're smoking all this weed. And of course, it does have some medical properties as well. Can help with pain, nausea, can stimulate your appetite, give you the munchies. Some particular strains can, anyway. And yeah, so THC. I mean, everybody knows what THC is, right?
No, man.
Never heard
I
of
was
this
gonna say
before?
I would hope so.
You know, that's it. I mean, everybody, it's the most famous one. I mean, people who are new to cannabis, they might not know, but you'd have to be very new to cannabis, or at least new to cannabis growing. Because I was consuming cannabis, you're not really gonna know much about the THC. But when you start learning about the plant, you'll realize that this is like the main ingredient on most cannabis plants.
I
Right.
think a lot of people that don't even use cannabis know about the THC because that's the
Hmm.
demon part of it, which they keep blaming for
Yeah,
psychoactive shit, don't they? So
that's right. The mind altering super skunk high in THC. You know.
mhm.
And then there's the next big famous one, which wasn't as famous as because over the last 10 years or so, it's just seemed to have been picked up and become way more popular, isn't it? And that is CBD, cannabidiol, right? That's how it said, cannabidiol.
Yep, yep, cannabidiol.
Weird, yeah. So that's the non-psychoactive and is popular for anxiety, inflammation, epilepsy, and pain relief. So it's used quite a lot for lots of different medical things, but along with THC is good as well. You use CBD, don't you, Billy?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, but
I enjoy it.
not as much as I should do. But yeah, I do.
Mm-hmm.
I do use it.
What are you saying, Brian? You use any CBD?
Yeah, absolutely.
See.
I would actually say because I learned that caffeine kind of gives you the jitters. So if I was going to give a public talk, that usually made me feel nervous, like the morning of.
Hmm.
And I would take caffeine because I thought, all right, I need this little extra energy type stuff. And then when I started to understand more about cannabinoids, I actually started to study more of the human body and that kind of thing. Um, CBD was the part that a lot of people in the cannabis space here in Denver that started to tell me that that's the calming one. That's the one
Mm-hmm.
that actually, when you go up there, you kind of want to have those. It's I guess a legal version would be kind of like a beta blocker. If you've ever taken those, you can kind of like, if you have ADHD, at least you can hyper focus with a beta blocker where you don't need Adderall or Ritalin. Think like certain CBD genetics, you have that kind of same
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
experience when it's a quality grown hemp CBD product.
Nice, nice. And one of my favorite strains is the CBD cream and cheese from Seedsman, which is like half THC, half CBD. That's the cannabinoid content of what it produces. And it's just a nice balance, man. The THC started to get really high in weed, and you're looking like 25% in some strains now. I just think that's really heavy, man, especially for somebody who doesn't consume a lot of cannabis nowadays. I would like to enjoy a whole joint, just for the flavor and the texture of the smoke. I haven't done that in so long because only 3 or 4 draws of the weed that I have, and it's all THC weed. I'm fucking so high so quick. you know, and I don't want to get too high. But if I can get that THC CBD balanced weed, then I can smoke a little bit more and enjoy it for a little bit longer without getting too mashed up. Or, you know, a full CBD joint, you're not going to get mashed, are you? You're just going to be able to enjoy the smoke. But...
Well, yeah, I think the full CBD ones as well. People seem to forget that, like, because there's like over 100 cannabinoids and all the terpenes as well, is that they're getting all that goodness from that as well. So smoking, so you're getting all that flavor as well. You're getting the relaxing feeling of just sitting there and relaxing and smoking, sort of thing. Because just smoking's relaxing.
Yeah.
So it's sort of that moment of being able to, instead of having 3 or 4 drags and feeling high, when you can sit there for then actually 20 minutes and smoke a whole CBD joint just for the taste and the relaxation part of it. You're not smoking to get high. Don't always smoke just to get high, if you know what I mean. So sometimes use it as that relaxing, that time out, if you know what I mean, just to take time out. So just because it's got some flavor.
And
So maybe just have to maybe look for a high CBD one. You can just sit and smoke in the afternoon, even before you drive as well, before you take or while you're walking the dogs, because you know you can drive back and you ain't got no effect.
Yeah. And just enjoy the nice flavors, the
Yeah,
terpenes, like we mentioned last week.
yeah. You're just enjoying the flavors and terpenes while you're out with the dogs for an hour. It's like, it's just a bit of enjoyment sort of thing.
Yeah, man. And the CBD as well, and the THC, they work with certain receptors that you have in your brain, CB receptors, CB1 and CB2. We'll get to that in a little bit. But those two are the most common cannabinoids, but there's different versions of those as well, like THCA and CBDA and shit like that. We'll get to that in a little bit as well. But let's move on to some of these other cannabinoids that we have as well, because these are the ones that are less known and people don't know much about these. But there's one called the cannabigerol is what it's called, and it's known as the mother of cannabinoids because this is the cannabinoid that THC and CBD is before it turns into THC and CBD, you know, before the chemical process goes through and the cannabinoids become fully mature. They are CBG, cannabigerol, and then everything kind of branches out from that. But this is a good cannabinoid to be taken. You can find this, there's strains out there specifically which you can go and buy with these cannabinoids in them, and it's not going to be like the THC CBD 20-25%. It's nothing like that, but it's just small percentages, like 2%, just small amounts. But them small amounts of these particular cannabinoids make a big difference. So yeah, check out the cannabis. Anybody, Bryan, can you get cannabigerol where you are, or is that just something you don't look for? You ever tried cannabigerol?
Yeah, absolutely. You can get that. That I would say that you can find that all over the city. Again,
Nice.
usually the home grower, the living soil grower, is usually now who people seek out when they want this kind of stuff because of the microbes that are creating the flower that now is giving you this medicine with different cannabinoids. And CBG is the apex cannabinoid. So there's a lot of ways to kind of manipulate these things. Um, if you had shitty weed, kind of, you would let it go a little bit longer. So if it was like a 55 day, sometimes you let it go 65 days, and that actually turned into CBN. And that CBN gives you more of a couch high. So you could almost turn any, even back then the names were probably bullshit anyway, but you could turn like a Blue Dreams that's known as like almost basically an upper. If you let her run even longer, she would basically become like this downer. So playing around and understand cannabinoids, there's a bunch of different things on the internet where you can see what strain would work out for you. And then, growing it and then smoking it is, I think, one of the good parts of life. There's just
A
something
quick
about that.
A quick question: would harvesting your plant really early have more CBG because it's obviously not then broken
I
down
think
into the THC and CBG and then other cannabinoids?
I think it would have a larger percentage, but like a larger percentage of what's there. But I think there'd be less of a yield of the cannabinoids. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah. So that'd be interesting just to see where the CBG would be the most prominent, or would it be better if you waited, and would it produce more CBG if you waited? Yeah, that'd be interesting to know. That's all.
But this specific cannabinoid is cannabigerol. May help with inflammation, information No, you see, it's that owl being thrown about the place. Calm down. So yeah, it may help with inflammation, pain, glaucoma or glaucoma. I don't know how to pronounce that one properly.
Glaucoma.
And it can help you focus. So yeah, this is a. I like that question there, Billy. Where if you harvested super early, how long does it take for CBG to turn into THC or CBD? You know what I mean? If you harvested early,
Yeah.
would you get that? Interesting. Yeah, it's found in small amounts, but some strains are now bred for high CBG content. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, go and check that out. Have you heard of this one CBC before? This cannabichromine?
Not really, to be honest.
Yeah, I've not heard of this one.
Yeah. Probably. I
But
probably read about it, but don't really recall it so much. No.
yeah, it's definitely not one of the famous ones, is it? What are you saying, Brian? You heard of cannabichromine before?
Yes, I've so there was a in the early days there's a show, the Adam Dunn show. He
Hmm.
interviewed Bodie. I think he's on Instagram as Plant More Seeds. And that gentleman has landrace genetics, and he talks about the cannabinoids that you're about to get into.
Mm.
I don't think that there's really, maybe other than maybe a handful of other people that have those real genetics where they have cannabis that's focused on like a an unknown cannabinoid. So I, I think most of the stuff that's out there that says that kind of stuff is complete trash. But if you go out of your way,
Mm.
there's a guy here in Denver, Colorado, Centennial Seeds. His name is Ben Holmes. That dude is legit. I personally used his stuff for my son when he was having grand mal febrile seizures. So um, the medicine exists. It's just you got to find the right person that's doing it. And usually, to be fair, those people are charging a premium for those genetics. So when they
Mm.
say like, hey, unless you know them and it's $20, that's probably because it's bullshit. You need to like, have you ever heard of the Auto or the Auto 2? That's well known in the CBD, CBC,
No, I don't know that
CBG
one.
world. Ben Holmes created that one, and so then a lot of other people have used his genetics to play around and make real medicine for children, and that's why I always highlight Ben Holmes. It's because the guy's always been doing this more. It seems like for children,
All
helping
right. Yeah.
children escape. Yeah, man. I mean,
Hmm.
if there's one thing you can get behind, right? It's somebody
Oh
that's
yeah, for
doing
sure.
something good for, yeah, especially for a kid that can't really. I can't imagine being that young and having cancer or
I
something.
know, right? Fucking
Horrible.
tragic shit, man.
Yeah.
But this CBC, this cannabichromine, non-psychoactive and shows potential for anti-inflammatory, pain-relieving, or antidepressant effects, believed to promote neurogenesis, new brain cell growth. Wouldn't it be great if they had proper studies done and could confirm these effects of these cannabinoids? It's a damn shame they don't. Yeah. So then we have the next one, which you briefly mentioned, Brian, was the CBN, the cannabinol. Now this shit is your couch lock shit.
This is
You
my
know,
favourite one
this is
out
your
of them.
amber trichomes. This is when your trichomes go from milky to amber. It's turning from THC into CBN. You know, the content is changing. The more amber it goes, the more CBN it has in it. And yeah, this one's known for the sedative properties, like the whole couch lock thing. You know, if a strain has more ambers, it's going to be a little bit heavier, going to have that heavier stone, so you can use it to help you sleep. And of course, with the THC there as well, it's got pain relief. But yeah, when you harvest strains there, Brian, what kind of CBN level, like amber trichomes, are you looking for when you're harvesting?
In the early days, man, we would just be using kind of like well-known strains. Golden Goat was kind of known for that.
Mm.
So if you would just let her go a little bit longer, like you just mentioned, really look for the cloudy, milky to turn amber. That's when that was kind of like a hood trick. It was a way
Mm.
to take subpar genetics, let them run a little bit longer, and then I mean, truthfully, kind of like tricking your clientele into thinking that you have something really special. Um,
Yeah, because
but
it
I think
mashes them up. Hmm.
yeah, I mean, to be fair, right? I grew up in Atlanta, and where I grew up, part of my early childhood and stuff, I was one of the rare white kids in my neighborhood. And so learning how to do some of this stuff, they taught me things and I taught them stuff. And so when I got older, I started to teach them about some of this stuff. And they would always kind of call it white boy weed. And so that kind of always stuck with me that there's just, there's different levels to the education that people have. And if you're able to provide them with a service and educate them on why this is better, they love it. Because in my early days, man, we were taken to Louisiana. And in Louisiana, they loved the burn when they would wrap it up in the blunts. They loved that part, like when you
Hmm.
kind of basically like make you just cough like crazy. And my business partner and I, we had just changed to like Dr. Lang Ingham style, trying to understand more about Korean natural farming at that time. Jeff Lowenfels, just really getting into it. And we were so proud that the product was now white ash and it was smooth. And we started to lose money because they thought that the product had gone down in quality because it didn't burn the throat anymore.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, I know what you're saying. Interesting point, isn't it? Wow. Some people like to get that hit, don't they? Like if it doesn't hit them that way, they don't think it's some good shit. Hmm.
Well, if you educate them again, you got to say like, okay, well, this is why it's different, man. And you've been smoking the bunkie, is what everybody kind of called it back then. The
Again, it's
doo
the education, isn't it? That's the most important thing about anything, really, especially cannabis. The education isn't there about why the weed was like it was, if you know what I mean, and why this weed is like it is. If you know what I mean, like he says, like the harshness is like, oh, I think they equate that with being good weed. It's like, well, no, and then explaining why, then you understand. So it's important for us to again, like you said, like we need to study all of these separate cannabinoids to then have better education on it. It's
Hmm.
just needed, yeah.
Well, that CBN is an important one, man. If you smoke cannabis to help you sleep, or you want to have really strong shit, just let it go for a week or two longer, and you'll
and
have
then
more CBN in it, and it'll get you mashed up. You saying,
and
Brian?
then
Yeah.
turn. I was just gonna say, and if you're suffering from real ailments, then you want to let that run a little bit longer, and then you want to turn that into RSO. And then once you
Mm.
turn that into RSO, you want to start taking like if you're brand new to cannabis, maybe a little bit less than half of a grain of rice. If you do this on a daily basis where you're intaking it, then you probably want to start with about a grain of rice. And you start taking that. That is a real medicine. And I think that is the part that scares the pharmaceutical types, the people that are into the whole, weed people are weird and, you can't believe anything that they're saying, is
Hmm.
because that plant, for whatever, human beings are meant to be healed from that, and also from fasting. And there's all these other different ways that you can prove on just doing cannabis and fasting, water fasting. um, but growing your own medicine, to me, is one of the sweet little highlights of life, if you're able to do it, because it's something that, if you're doing it correctly, should be allowing you to get up and feel better the next day, and so you can just improve on things. A month goes by, 6 months go by, a year goes by, and all of a sudden you forgot that your back used to hurt all the time. You want to kind of go outside because you're just not as depressed anymore, because you're using cannabis instead of opiates, like you guys had mentioned
Yeah, man.
before.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that temporary relief, and you sort of do something, and you think, oh, that hurt, and you're like, oh yeah, that hurt because I wasn't in pain before, and you're sort of happy that,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's
It's
little
crazy how
things.
much of a fucking quality of medicine cannabis is. And, we covered all
Yeah,
them terpenes and shit for the medicinal properties of those last week. And we're like halfway through this list of cannabinoids that can also be used for medicinal value. It's just crazy what's been like held back from people for so long. It's a crime against humanity, is what it is. This next one we have and this is one which I found out about only, I say recently, over the last couple of years. The THCV, tetrahydrocannabivarin, is what it's called, and this is one which you can find in like Africa, mainly African strains like Durban poison. If you look for strains from Africa, that's going to have a higher THCV level in, and it'll go along THC as well. Like it'll have 18% THC and then 2% THCV. Like it goes extra. But there are strains out there, and there's one from Seedsman that was specifically bred to have more THCV in it. And pretty much this one is used as a good appetite suppressant. Instead of getting the munchies like you do when you usually consume a high THC weed, because that's appetite what's the word? I don't know. It stimulates the appetite. Yeah.
Stimulator, yeah.
This one suppresses it. So people try this if they're trying to lose weight and things like that. So again, another way a different cannabinoid can be used. I'd love to try this one. I'd love to grow some. I mean, I've probably tried it in weed in the past, but just not being aware of it. It would be nice to get one of those strains that are specifically bred for a high content of THCV and see how they fucking go, man. I'd like to try them. Hey, anybody tried this? You tried this before, Billy?
Not really, to be honest. No. I probably should try a bit more just to see what it's like, but I don't really need the suppressants for the appetite. So,
What about you, Brian? You tried THCV before?
No, this one I don't really have any experience with.
Yeah, it's easy to get nowadays as well. You can get it on all these different strains, mainly African ones. Like I said, tried Durban Poison, but I think Seedsman Seeds, maybe even Dutch Passion as well. I think they have specific strains that are high in THCV. So do check them out if that one sounds interesting to you. Next one we have here is CBDV. The same thing, cannabinoid instead of tetrahydro bidivarin. Gee, I can't say this one. CBDV, cannabidivarin or divarin. I don't know how it's pronounced properly. I can say the THCV. I can't say the CBDV. That's a difficult one, isn't it? Yeah. Similar to CBD, but shows unique effects. Studied and only studied. Again, everybody, it doesn't tell you that these are definite ailment solvers. But studies for epilepsy, autism, spectrum disorders, and skin conditions like eczema. Same kind of shit. It's used in small percentages along with everything else. When you got this full extract cannabinoid where it's got these different cannabinoids in it. And it's got all these different terpenes. It's not just a set cannabinoid like all THC or all CBD. When it's a mix of everything, a fine mix of everything, that's where you're going to get the best medicine. So this one, have you tried this one before, Billy? Heard of this one?
not too much actually, but just because there's not enough research on it, and it's not really.
Yeah.
But it's also I don't think having isolated cannabinoids is any good. You're meant to have like all of them together. So
yeah, like a mix of everything.
Yeah.
That's it. Can you get this one, Brian? Because you have legal access to this kind of shit. Have you heard of CBDV before?
Yeah, you have access to, I would almost say everything. In the CBD world, you have access to that nationwide. Like if you live somewhere, even if it's kind of in a weird gray, I mean, no one's knocking on your door coming to get you for CBD.
Yeah.
Any variation of it. But these are, I would almost say, like newer cannabinoids to the general public. And from what I understand, there's other countries that are discovering new cannabinoids every day and not really revealing
Apparently
that.
there's like 100 of them or something. There's loads.
Yeah. And of course, keeping it for themselves and probably going to create some kind of pharmaceutical aspect where it's in some kind of form where it could be patented.
Yeah. So for these cannabinoids as well, the CBG, the CBD, and the THC all have an acidic version, where essentially you put an A at the end, like THCA, CBDA, CBGA, and it's just the name of the cannabinoid with acid at the end. It's pretty much as simple as that. Cannabidiolic acid, that's for CBD, or cannabigerolic acid for CBGA, or tetrahydrocannabinolic acid for THCA. Yeah, long words, man. Long words. Sorry, Brian.
THCA is what you give to kids. So when people, especially certain Congress people, are up there saying that, oh my God, the community's giving THC to children, they're talking about THCA. THCA is non-psychoactive. And so that's why education is extremely important for this kind of stuff, so that people that potentially do have children that are suffering from seizures, THCA with a little bit of CBD, CBG can do wonders for a child coming out of a seizure.
And
the child is not getting high.
Yeah. Raw plant in your juice, sorted, loads of CBDAs in it.
That's right.
CBGAs.
That is the heat. Well, there's time that will slowly decarboxylate these cannabinoids, like THC, and it will become THC. The longer you leave it, the more like in a jar or on the desk or whatever, as the moisture evaporates, it will turn from THCA into THC, but it takes time. But when you're smoking it, or you're going to use it for edibles, so, and we've covered it before in an episode about decarboxylation. This is what you're doing when you decarboxylate it. It's taking the acid form away from it and turning it from CBDA or THCA into the non-acidic compound, and that's what gets you high with THC. And like Bryan said, is the acidic version doesn't get you high. So if you want to make real good edibles, you need to decarb first to make it THC.
Yeah. Otherwise, you might as well put some spice rack in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's not really gonna do
can be
too
tasty in the right numbers.
What's silly about this, man, is in the early days too, they made it seem like people were over here giving kids like bong rips. Hey, little Timmy, and that's not at all what was going on.
It's like isn't that the Chinese fat kid who smoked like 20 a day, about 5 years old? It's in that meme,
Yeah. Like,
Jesus.
the misinformation thing really is silly.
It's ridiculous, and it's stupidness, man. Then we got this Delta 8 THC, because the normal version of THC, as we know it, is Delta 9 THC, and that's been around for a long time. But this Delta 8 shit, you experienced this before, Bryan? Because I know you can get it over in the US in some places.
I've experienced it, I think, at parties and stuff without people telling you when they're passing stuff around, and you're kind of like, yo, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
It just never, for me, it just is a weird cannabinoid.
Yeah. Synthetic, right? It's distilled
It's
from
like
hemp
K2
in some way.
Yeah, it's like K2 spice. If you've ever, that's what they smoke in prison because it doesn't come up. But
Right.
if you've ever had like a friend or something, and they're on that for, I would say, a few weeks to a month or so, you can tell that all of a sudden it's like, man, what are you doing? Like this isn't weed, bro. Like you're sounding real slow. You're sounding. It's almost like some of my friends that would do lean and stuff, and then constantly do it, where it would take them, it felt like 20 minutes to say a sentence. I feel like that also comes from that cannabinoid. So synthetic stuff is weird. The jury, in my opinion, was out for that until more and more people saw that smoking spice kind of it messes with your brain, man. I think people would argue against me on that, but I've personally seen people just kind of almost. Have you ever seen anybody like lose their shit honestly over weed? It's usually more like that's their personal, yeah. But
that
spice
spice
seems
stuff
to
is
do
bad,
that.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, so it does kind of bring people down where it's like they only want that, and it's usually from people that are in recovering from some kind of thing, where they're on probation, or they jam themselves up and they still want to smoke.
Yeah, we don't see this much in the UK, do we? With this Delta 8, have you seen it before?
Not really. No, not too much.
No, I think we have over
too
here.
much normal cannabis, I think.
Yeah, and this is it as well. This Delta 8 THC has only really showed up in the states where it's illegal. Anywhere that's legalized is not dealing with Delta 8 THC. They go straight for the Delta 9, Another one after this, because there's Delta 8, which is a dodgy version. It's in small amounts in hemp, but can be used synthetically as well. Can be made synthetically. And then Delta 9, which is the natural version of THC. Well, Delta 8 is natural as well, but in small amounts. But, the version we all know, the THC we all know and love, that's Delta 9 THC. But there's also Delta 10 THC, which is similar to the Delta 8, but apparently it gives you more of an uplifting and energetic high. But again, in very small amounts, and studying needs to be done, I've never tried that one either, as far as I know, Delta 10. Delta 9 has been the predominant cannabinoid for me, with a little bit of CBD along the way, because I enjoy that shit too. But yeah, fuck knows what Delta 10 is and Delta 8. But Bryan, again, have you tried Delta 10? Is that a thing as well?
No, and is that one synthetic?
I'm not sure. I would think
You know,
so.
again, I would caution people to play around with that kind of stuff. You know, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's a perfectly God-given plant. Why why not just experience it as best you can? Again, in my opinion, the rosin is the best way to experience that. It is almost like a fine bourbon or something, whatever however you would kind of equate it to before smoking. You know, a high-end wine or something like that, where you can just really enjoy yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think is worth the money.
Yeah, you want all the cannabinoids and terpenes. You don't want
Yeah,
singular
a
or
fine mix of
synthesized
everything,
ones.
isn't it? You know, variety
Yeah,
is the spice of life and all that. And they're all going to do these little individual things. You know, you just need to find out what each one does and what's the best mix in the right amount. You know, how much of this one, how much of that one. It would be nice to, you know, do a test like to do tests with people's gut biome and know what's missing and know what should be added to make it better. Imagine if they could do something similar with your endocannabinoid system and be like, oh, they need this amount of this with this, and there you go. That's a perfect medicine for you. Maybe one day, but we do have one more to cover here: hexahydrocannabinol, HHC, and we've covered this one before as well, I think. On the show, we've mentioned it in news stories at some point. A hydrogenated version of THC made through a chemical process. Effects are similar to THC but much more stable and shelf stable, still being studied for safety and effectiveness. So yeah, essentially this is being made by the guys in the legal market that are just trying to make THC that's going to be able to sit on the shelf for a long time. So you know, if they can store it for 5 years, then it's not going to go bad after a year, so they get extra length on it, isn't it? Longer shelf life. That's something that they're
But
looking
I
I
mean,
at.
don't.
is that what you want? You know,
No,
I
that's
I
mean,
don't
if
know.
you're
that's what. Mm-hmm.
The words chemical process just instantly turn me off.
Absolutely, absolutely.
right.
You
It's like,
know,
what? Fuck off.
Billy the Kid in
Chemical
chat said
process.
Delta 9 only, and that's kind of how I feel as well. With all these different, I mean, THCA, of course, but not intentionally. You want the property, but this Delta not Delta 8, Delta 10, like. Nah, man. You just
Yeah,
stick with the
get the
Delta
fuck.
9, you know, just stick Delta 9 THC. Some CBD in there as well, you know what I'm saying? And maybe some THCV and shit like that. But anything that's chemically made, nah. I'm cool with the just natural stuff. You know what I mean? Stick with natural cannabinoids that are produced naturally by the plant, and you'll be fine. I don't need anything from a lab. Why get it from a lab when you can grow it yourself? Jesus. It's in the state of some of these labs as well. You'd think that there was all nice, clean places, but no, they're dodgy factories. It's yeah, stay away from pills if you can. It's, allegedly. Right, I think we should be covered. Yeah. All right. So the endocannabinoid system. You want to talk about the endocannabinoid system a bit here, Billy? You want to explain what it is and all that shit? You seem to know about this.
Yeah, well, basically, your endocannabinoid system, is also known as the ECS, obviously is a system that's inside, because that's what the endo means. It means it's internal. So, and the cannabinoid means it's obviously a cannabinoid system. So, which is mostly CB1 and CB2 receptors, which basically take all these cannabinoids and terpenes and stuff and put them into your body and then move them around your body. I'm not sure how many points you have of these. There's quite a few. We're finding more and more each time. But basically, the function of it is to move all your cannabinoids around the system for you to use to create homeostasis, which is basically the only thing that can do it, because you need all the amino acids as well from the seeds as well from it. So it's not just the smoking of the actual plant, the seed as well is important for you to create the homeostasis for your ECS. Also, the ECS, uh, it's like the engine to the body, if you know what I mean. So without that working properly, then the rest of the body won't work properly. It'll take all the endocannabinoids and it'll make your liver function properly. It'll make your blood cells grow and move around the body. It just make everything work better and properly, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And without these, then your body won't work properly, and that's where they're finding all these side effects and conditions. We're having like problems with livers and even cell growth and things like that with our especially our fingernails and shit like that, silly things, hair growth and skin growth, problems with your eyes and shit like that. It could be an endocannabinoid deficiency. So
Crazy, ain't it?
yeah, and that's what they're thinking, that it's we're almost biologically linked with this plant. So it's amazing that without that said, this is the only system that can create homeostasis,
It's
which is
madness,
the
man.
perfect health. Yeah,
Because people think it's just crazy talk as well, but this is like legit. There is an endocannabinoid system in your body that needs to be fed and nourished in particular ways using cannabinoids.
yeah.
What's crazy about this? It's not bullshit. This is real talk, everybody. This is real talk.
Cannabinoids are in lots of different foods and other plants and skins and that, but cannabis is the only plant on the planet that has all of them. The seed is the only seed on the planet that has all the essential amino acids. So it's like
Mm-mm.
it's
It's a miracle food, man.
yeah,
It's just crazy how much the human body works with the cannabis plant to make
yeah,
homeostasis.
basically, yeah.
It's like
It's
this. We were
crazy, isn't it?
gifted this
Yeah,
by aliens or something. This shit don't make sense.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, or both. They made us and the plant together. Feel what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Absolutely
But we're
crazy,
made
man.
from the plant.
Maybe.
You don't know, do we really? So, but yeah,
I don't know.
it's
It just
amazing. If you don't know anything about the endocannabinoid system, I really suggest you type that into Google, Brave, or whatever
YouTube, you know.
whatever you use,
Find a
and
little
really
hours
start. Yeah,
documentary on it and go just find out because it really is
eh,
incredible.
it's amazing. Yeah, we with the WTU, so we had something called Endo Man, which was like a big man with with some of the points of where your receptors are, and sort of then just sort of like a bigger explanation of what it can does, and you're like, wow, shit. And there's pictures online all the time, and you just use it and to look at it, and then you see how you're connected to this plant. It's not just something you smoke. It's not just recreational.
Mm-hmm.
It's life
Yeah, you know, it's not just something
itself.
you consume to get high. That's just one of the things it does. It does so many other things. Cannabis is an
That's
amazing
just a
plant,
small
you know.
side effect, if you get what I mean.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
small side. Yeah, yeah. That's a small side effect. A good, pleasant side effect until you get too high and it becomes unpleasant and nauseous.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's CBD, which can then counteract that, and so it's
Yeah,
just
man.
knowledge again. In the
Yeah,
education.
that's right. Yeah. But let's talk about how cannabinoids work together. So we discussed last week as well briefly about this whole entourage effect thing where cannabinoids and terpenes are used together and the different terpenes give different effects along with different cannabinoids give different effects to give a specific effect of different strains and different cultivars. You know, that's why some sativa dominant strains are said to get you a little bit more energetic and shit like that. Is because of the mixture, the combination between how much THC there is, CBD, CBG, you know, and then along with some pinene or some limonene, these different terpenes that get taken in there as well, and it all mixes together and produces a specific outcome, which and you got to really work hard to find the right strain, like we mentioned last week, to give you the entourage effect that works well for you. And this is why full spectrum cannabis products are more effective. Yeah, like when people use RSO and things like that, it's because they have all of this shit concentrated. It's not just cannabinoids. It's not just like THC and RSO and full spectrum cannabis oil. You've taken everything. You've taken the terpenes, all the different cannabinoids, put them together and turned them into a medical product. That's why they work so well. Yeah. Anything to add? What do you think about the entourage effect there, Brian? You got anything to add about this?
Yeah, I think it's the next modern like medical marvel. Um, it's not being taught for the most part in any kind of medical setup. Like I think I've told you guys several times, my son's grandfather was a spinal surgeon, and he was never taught about the endocannabinoid system, even
Yeah.
though he went through all that schooling.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're not a specialized MD, you're not even learning about this kind of stuff. And so the average person or somebody that has children, I think it's up to you to educate yourself, like Billy was saying, and Google this and find out more about the entourage effect. Understand why a full spectrum cannabinoid, like the products that you're looking at, costs a little bit more than the separated one.
Mm-hmm.
Why some of the stuff, it's kind of like vitamins almost with some of these things, right? Like in my opinion, vitamins are real, but it has to be vitamins that are being made from food. And if you look at the price tag of vitamins that are made from food, it's pretty expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So good things are pricey, man. But if you're, again, if this is something that you need, it's a medicine. Quit wasting your money on all the other things. Go outside, get some sunshine, burn a little joint, take a little dab, and I think that's going to heal a lot of your inflammation and depression and all of these things that you're probably used to just feeling by just being outside and enjoying life again with a little joint.
Yeah, I concur.
I
Just
concur
to
as
add
well.
that, yeah, just to add there, what how stupid the medical industry is. He's saying that spinal surgeon, knew nothing about the endocannabinoid system. 99% of species on this planet that have a spinal system have an endocannabinoid system. They're almost interlinked.
Yeah.
So like everything, yeah.
Dr.
And
Grinspoon
for
was on the show before as
that,
well, and he
yeah,
said,
not to be taught, it's just stupid. It's like
well, Dr.
it
Grinspoon
says,
said throughout his whole medical school, he did an afternoon on the endocannabinoid system, like for
yeah, but
7-8 years of schooling.
yeah.
Ridiculous.
But for a spinal surgeon, it's almost interlinked. The spine and the endocannabinoid system are interlinked with each other, almost basically. So it's just fucking stupid. That's how
Madness, man.
bad it is. Yeah, madness.
Got to be done on
And
purpose.
they
Yeah,
call
he
themselves
believed that they
experts.
didn't teach him on purpose, so that there wasn't some kind of other thought even brought forth. This is how you take care of things. Don't even think about cannabis as medicine.
Yeah, use
Yeah.
these oil-based medicines. Use these petroleum-based medicines instead. Allegedly. But yeah. So after listening to all of that, everybody, you should have a good idea about, a decent idea for you to get started on what you should be looking for now. When you're looking for a strain, don't just go to the seed bank like you do, like we all do. Just what's the THC level on this? What's the flowering period? Look a little bit deeper now. Go and figure out what cannabinoids do you want. Do you really need that 25% THC cannabis? Can you have a half CBD, half THC strain, like 8% of each, with a little bit of THCV in or something? If you want to go for just high THC, look for strains like Gorilla Glue, Bruce Banner. The classics, man. White Widow. You know what I mean? And there's also, if you're looking for high CBD strains, there's the famous ones like Charlotte's Web is one of the initial CBD strains that got out there. And CBG rich strains would be White CBG and Jack Frost CBG. So, they've got the cannabinoid in the title. And we mentioned the THCV as well. If you want to get for that one, go for a Durban Poison or some kind of African landrace. They're usually higher in THCV. But look into all of it. Think about which, maybe get a little selection of different ones and figure out what's going to work best for you after a couple of grows. It's like I really do like those THC CBD strains when it's a balance of each. I enjoy them more. I enjoy the high from them. I enjoy the effect from them. But that's me. You might want something different. So do some experimenting, figure out what you like the most. CBD weed is good too. I like that too because I like to smoke for flavor nowadays more than anything. So to be able to enjoy flavor without having to get high at the same time it's a nice way to go, man. I like that. What kind of strains would you recommend, Brian? High THC, high CBD? Yeah, any THCV ones or anything like that?
Yeah, I would. So you mentioned Charlotte's Web, and that was actually these two brothers kind of basically took another man's work, and that man is named Two. And if you really want to get Charlotte's Web genetics or genetics that have true, there's Ben Holmes. I mentioned that gentleman earlier, and then there's a gentleman called Two.
Right. How's that two spelled?
It's TWO, and it's almost like I'm telling you to go find a ghost. But that gentleman is the one that created Charlotte's Web. I think he was calling it R9 at the time. But Charlotte's Web is a ripoff of this guy's work, and that's why I'm saying if you really go down the rabbit hole and you educate yourself, there's just a few people, and or at least that I know of, that are doing work where you know that the numbers that they're saying are in those genetics that they're selling you are accurate.
Mm.
And so it would be two, Ben Holmes, I think Nerds Genetics, Robbie.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's on another level too. If you're trying to grow really high-end genetics and kind of play around with certain cannabinoids, again, Bodie, Plant More Seeds. That guy's got more of those kind of weirder genetics, but landrace stuff is hard to sell to the average consumer because it's never really going to look as pretty
Yeah, yeah.
as you want.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's not really
It's a
made for
very
the indoor growing, is it? It's not the same. Doesn't look as nice.
it's very hard to get like a pretty girl
Mm-hmm.
when you have her as a landrace. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you saying, Billy? What would you recommend? A particular cannabinoid content like high THC, high CBD? Any strains you recommend there?
For CBD, I'd probably go for a Charlotte's Angel from Dutch Passion.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice, good plant, that one. They also do a CBD skunk haze, which was reasonable as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think Dutch Passion are some of the got some
Yeah,
good
Dutch Passion
CBDs.
always got nice shit, and they've got them different cannabinoids out there as well, like the THCV.
Yeah,
You can check that out as well. You know, and any seed bank you go to nowadays, you know, it's all competing against each other. So they all have a variety of all of this. At least the bigger guys do. So do some research. You know, don't just read the description and go for it. You know, do a little bit more research into how much of particular cannabinoids they have, how much of the particular terpenes they have. You know, they all say the same kind of shit when you read the description. You know. You know, it's got an uplifting euphoric effect if it's sativa dominant, or a couch locking sedative effect if it's not. They say that on like so many descriptions. So
Yeah, and
just
it's all 55 days too, you know.
yeah, you know, it's like all this shit that it's not necessarily true. So you have to just put a little bit of extra research in there. But man, let us know what you find as well, everybody. Do you know what works well for you? What do you already enjoy? If you have recommendations that you think other people should know about, get over on the forum and put some posts up in the strain reviews section and be like, I had this one. This was CBD dominant. It was awesome. It helped with this pain relief, that pain relief, or the different ailments. You know, let us know and let everybody know. Let the community know. It's important. That's how we learn some shit. But yeah, again, if you have any questions, ask over at postysgrowroom.com. There are still hundreds more cannabinoids out there, everybody. This is just a few of them. So start experimenting. It's not all about THC. You know what I'm saying? But we're ready for the listener mail. Got a couple of questions here. Good to go there?
yeah, man, I think so.
Right then, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, so from Red Eye, we have if I remove my plants from the grow room and train and trim, how long is too long for a plant to be away from its lights? Yeah, and there's a secondary question to that, but we'll cover that one first. I mean, an hour or two, it's going to just be better. It's going to be happier under those lights. I mean, you could leave it out there for a day if you really wanted to, but you just don't need to, do you? You know, a few hours is fine. Just sit there trimming a plant for a few hours. You're going to have no problems at all. It's just going to consider it because you're going to have light while you're working on it. So it's just going to be as if the plant was outside and it was like a cloudy day. There's some light, but it's nowhere near enough. You know what I mean? So that happens sometimes. Sometimes it's just a really fucking cloudy day and it rains a lot or something. So it's not like the plant's going to die if it gets a couple of hours less light than what it's used to. You know what I mean? What do you think, Brian?
This person is asking, I need to do some maintenance on the plants. I
Mm-hmm.
have an indoor grow and I'm going to pull it out of my tent where there's light and then work on it under like a normal LED house bulb.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I
How
so.
long should he keep it out before the plant starts getting unhappy?
Yeah, that needs to be you work on it and then you put it back in the grow. But I would say that you're able to work on that for a few hours without any issue whatsoever.
Yeah, I would
Um,
think so as well.
Yeah, not unless he's working in a completely dark room, like zero light. But I'm
Which
not
we
sure
wouldn't
he's gonna.
recommend. If you're dealing with
Yeah,
scissors and blades and shit and doing that, then you're braving on
yeah,
iron, man. Don't be doing that
yeah,
shit.
totally. Yeah,
You know?
and especially if you're doing it naked as well, then
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
boy, asking
Right.
for all sorts of trouble there, mate.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I hope that answers the question for you. I think it's a resounding couple of hours per plant would be fine. You know, so just don't leave them in darkness. Make sure there's lights on them. Also, is there a good or bad color of light to work under? I have LED bulb in my room which can be changed to any color. Not really. Just keep it white light. I mean, you see people using green lights sometimes in their grow room so they can go in the grow room and do shit in the dark, but instead it's green light. Don't even take that risk, man. When it's nighttime hours, leave it dark. And when it's daytime hours, just use normal light. Don't overcomplicate it. You know, it's got good white light in the tent, hopefully under a good LED. So, you know, when you drag that shit out, just having it under normal household light, it'll be fine. Be fine. Just do your trimming and put it back. But I wouldn't be changing
Yeah,
the color. I wouldn't be giving it blue or any red or green or anything like that. Just normal. You say, Brian?
yeah. When we were growing commercially, especially in Oklahoma, we were using green lights because we weren't allowed to have the funding for labor. So, you know, there's basically two of us at that point doing all this extra work, and we have to go
Right,
in there
right.
because when else
Mm-hmm.
are you going to do it?
Yeah, yeah.
And I personally noticed some genetics that I had grown in my personal life. We're now running them down in Oklahoma. So of course there's a few things, variables that are different. But I noticed because we're in there and we have all these different green lights in there, even though a lot of people say that the plants can't see green light, I noticed that some of the high-end Duke Diamond genetics and stuff that I personally, like to run started to show different characteristics. Could that be from us also opening the door and closing the door as you're coming in and out all the time? I also think that that adds up throughout the
Mm-hmm.
day. So
Mm-hmm.
the best way to do it, man, is if you're able to go into your grow room during the day and just sit in there with the plants, like if you have that luxury. I used to enjoy that immensely and just kind of that's your little oasis, right? That's your jungle. If you're not able to do that, then from the previous question, pull it out, work on the plant. I would say do it in a timely manner. Like
Yeah,
I
don't
wouldn't pull my
rush.
plant. Yeah, but at the same time, I wouldn't lollygag, being like, "Oh yeah, they said there's a bunch of hours. I'm just gonna leave it. I'm gonna come back later." I would take the time to just pick up that plant, put it back into the grow if I
Yeah.
was going to,
Mm-hmm.
rush or do something else. So even though he said you have that time, I still would use it as um, I don't know what like it would, I don't know the right analogy. Like it would thaw out, I guess, right? If it was in the fridge, you're putting it out, you're working on it. You don't want her to thaw out as quickly as possible. So you work on her and then you put her back in the metaphorical fridge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I know what you mean. It's good answer. It's good questions as well. Nice one there, Red Eye. There's some good questions, man. But yeah, so just normal white light. Take it out for a couple of hours. Put it back as soon as you can. You know, and if you're going to take breaks in between it, and you can do it, it's easy for you to do. Put it back in the tent. Keep it under the main lights as much as possible, but take it out and work on it if you need to. Don't be afraid. All right, we got a couple of questions here from Grumpus as well. Yeah, thanks for the questions here, Grumpus. Got when cloning, why do the leaves get cut back? You know, a good question is, I think I'm not entirely sure because I don't take clones very much, but essentially there's nutrients in the leaf, and when you remove more than 50% of the leaf, it will start to absorb the nutrients back inside the rest of the plant and drop the leaf off because it's not going to be any good to it. So you remove about 50% of the leaf, so then the plant essentially tells itself to absorb what's in the rest of the leaf and then drop them off. And while it doesn't have roots and it can't get new nutrients to itself, being able to absorb those nutrients from the leaves will possibly keep the plant alive for a few more days with the nutrients from them, what it can't absorb into the root zone. What do you think about that, Billy? Does that sound correct?
It sounded logical. Anyway,
Yeah, that's it. Whether that's the way it actually is, I don't know, but it just
yeah.
seemed logical, you know. But
Um,
are we
let's have
saying,
some
Brian?
fun. Well, I was gonna say let's have some fun with this. I would say that what you said is kind of like bro science.
Probably.
The people that are cutting the leaves in half, that's coming from kind of more of the OGs. Some people that think that it's worth it, some people don't. But
Mm-hmm.
cutting it in half from that crowd is saying that that stimulates root growth. And so when people choose to do that, they'll usually also put it in a dome and then they like to foliar feed with some like kelp type products
Hmm.
because it has so many different like trace minerals. um I could also see what you're saying, like, because if you're replicating the fall and you just took a clone and then you're cutting it down, it has less mass to kind of like heal itself from.
Hmm.
So I think that there's probably some truth to some of that, but on a commercial level, when I see people putting in their SOPs to take the time to allow their labor team to be cutting all of those clones in half, it's
Yeah.
because they believe that by doing that, those clones are going to root days quicker than if the team didn't do that.
Hmm. Hmm. Somebody needs to do a study, side by
Yep.
side study here. Trim some, don't trim some. And also, there's the point, some people saying here about not to trim it, it's fine to leave it, which is cool. Do that as well. That might work too. But in my logic, when I figure it, if I can think about it, it's like the plant will be able to absorb more light then. And when it absorbs more light, more photosynthesis takes place. So it needs more energy. And you don't want it using up too much energy while it doesn't have the roots. So I don't know. For me, for trimming it half, just it works for me. But I don't take many clones at the same time, so I don't know what's best. I think go and check out that episode with the clone coach. You should, Grumpus. We got an episode with a guy called Clone Coach, and he obviously by his name, that's his name up on YouTube. You can find him. He knows his shit about cloning. So see what he says about that. Maybe he's got something in one of his videos about trimming leaves. That's it. As we like to say, everybody, there's many ways to go swimming with a cat. So as long as you're swimming, it's all good. Don't worry. Do it your way. If it works, it works. Go for it.
That was
Also,
in the
so,
Dead Sea Scrolls, I believe.
what was the swimming with a cat thing?
Yeah, it's very ancient wisdom.
Yeah, I think so. So also there, because he asked another question here.
I just think it's an old wet pussy joke myself, but still.
Jesus, Jesus, you're not gonna be able to tell that one now. You've ruined it, Billy. Fuck. Also, is there advantage to using a cloning machine rather than rooting cubes if only taking a very limited number of cuttings? What do you think, Bryan? You used one of these cloning machines before?
Yes, if you're at the commercial level, it is a must because it does speed it up, but you need a highly competent person to do that because if you get the wet noodle when you're using those machines, that whole entire tray is usually fucked.
All right.
So the 24-hour misting, there's a Goldilocks approach to that, and I would say you want to watch a few videos if you've never done that. Um, in my opinion, the easiest way to do is take a clone from a razor that you got that's brand new, take a clone from a healthy, strong looking part of the plant, and then you're going to use aloe vera instead of Clone-X or something like that because, again, we want to keep this as a medicine. So
Mm-hmm.
we basically cut the clone underwater, just like the high-end Whole Foods. You see those people, they're taking the time to do that with the roses. I do think that that is worth the time. There's a ton of other people that are smarter than me that say that
Mm-hmm.
is unnecessary. Up to you. But I would take that and then I would dip that into the aloe vera, and then I would spray it with some fulvic acid, and then spray the leaves with some fulvic acid. And I personally always cut those leaves in half because it did seem like they would root quicker. And then you want to put it in one of those rooters, I guess, if that's what you're going after. But I've always found to flip that thing upside down. So you're gonna think that the way that it's sold to you is that you're gonna put the longer part down into the tray. You want to actually flip it over when you're doing clones and have the longer aspects facing north, and you'll find more success that way. You'll find a lot more success. You'll have even praying leaves when you're doing clones. And there's these red trays that you can buy that cost like, I don't know, $5 or $10 more than the basic plastic black tray insert for these clone domes. Pay the extra money for those red ones that are a little bit sturdier. If you go to a high-end grocery store, you'll see what I'm talking about. Pay the extra money for those, and your cloning success will probably be closer to 100%. If you're using the machines and all that, you can find success with those, but again, there's a huge learning curve with that, and I would imagine when you first get into this, you're probably going to have a run or two where you get the soggy wet noodle, and you're going to be kind of pissed off about the tech.
Yeah, man. It's a good answer. I think that provides all the information he needs right there. Nice. Good. We've got one more from Grumpus. Just the last question here, everybody. Just is a blurple light set to veg good enough for seedlings and clones? Maybe even keeping a mother plant. For seedlings and clones, yes. Keeping a mother plant, maybe not. It depends on the size of the light and how much output it has and all that shit. What do you think about this one, Billy?
Well, I use a blurple for my seedlings and
Right.
early veg.
Do you
So
have
yeah,
it just on
100%
veg as well,
fine.
yeah?
Yep.
Would you use that for a mother?
No.
A small mother, you could, but you know, depends on the
Yeah, but
size.
you'd have to have a strong blurple light. So you'd have to have a high wattage one to have just for the floor coverage, isn't it? Really, if you know what I mean?
I
Because the
would say
mother's
the
going to be a
same.
relatively big plant in it. It's not going to be
Yeah,
like
yeah.
don't get
Especially over time,
small one.
after a few
Yeah,
months.
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I'd say no, just because of that.
Yeah,
But no, but for seedlings, yeah, perfect, almost perfect for it, really.
yeah, for
Early
seedlings and
veg.
clothes.
Yeah.
Just them early days. But when it starts to get big, it needs real light on it, you know,
Mm.
for the best results. Would you agree with that, Brian?
Is a blurple like a weaker bluer light? Is that what you're talking about?
In the early days, LEDs when you used to do blue and red, and you could switch on the blue
So you do
or
like
the red or both together at the same time. So then you'd have purple light, but it's blue purple. So it's called blurple. That's what we call them.
so when we were running metal halides with double enders, is that considered like a bluer light spectrum?
No, I wouldn't say so. No. Well, with
Well,
metal
double-ended.
halo, that's a little bit of more blue spectrum than like HPSs, but it's closer to white light. And when we're talking blurple, we're talking like you see when people take pictures of plants and it's under purple light. That's a blurple
Yeah,
light.
LED.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm growing some plants right now under LED, but the
but
purple I would say is a
the
veg.
purple is an old school thing, isn't it? I mean, LED now, people are the companies are more using the like the Samsung what are they fucking called? HL03s. I can't remember the name right now, but the specific chips that give off white light, blue light, and red light. But it's most likely going to be majority white with a little touch of blue and red here and there, depending on the light model. But they used to have them older LEDs that just came out where it was like blue light and fucking red light, and you use the blue light for just veg on its own, and then you'll turn the red on as well when it got into flower. There was Epistar, Mars Epistar 2, I think was one of the models that did that, for example. Yeah, 301H, there we go. Thank you, Cookie Grow. Yeah, and 301Bs and shit. Yeah, the best diodes. But yeah,
I think there was like a Growzilla or something back in the day that supposedly had that kind of setup.
yeah, a few of them did, and like Kind lights, they had them as well. It was like the early stages of LED grow lights was where they had these blurple settings where you had the blue and the red with Epistar diodes in there rather than the 301H and all that shit. Yeah, man. LED lights are much better now. You could probably get a real cheap one for if you didn't want to use that Grumpus, you can get the T5s. You can get LED T5s now, and just use those for seedlings and cuttings as well. But, man, yeah, there's so much choice out there, but I wouldn't use it for a big mother plant. Well, that's about it. I think that's all the questions. Anything else to add here, or should we go to the outro?
No man, I'm all good.
We good? Let's do that.
Yeah, I would just real quick say that in my opinion, if you're really focused on growing diverse microbes, you should look into the living soil aspect of growing because most of us it's going to be a huge learning curve to get to the skill sets that synthetic growers are at to grow the cannabis at the same level. So potentially if you want to learn to grow with Mother Nature in a living soil setup.
That's right. That's going to be the best way to go.
Living soil.
Living soil. All right, let's go, everybody. It's time for the outro. Oh, there we go, everybody. Oh, thank you for joining us. Of course, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done that already. That would be cool. But yeah, thanks as always for being here. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to Bryan for coming and jumping on the panel. We always appreciate your time,
Bryan.
man. Thank you very much.
Woo!
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me, man. This is always fun.
That's always a pleasure. Thanks for coming, man. And yeah, next week I think we're going to talk about some strains. We're going to talk about we'll do a like top 20 strains or something. We can discuss terpenes and cannabinoids all in those different strains, so you can make a good informed decision of what strains you should be getting for your particular needs. You know what I mean? Do you want to sleep more? Do you want to be more energetic? Maybe a little bit of both. You know, you a medical user, recreational user. We'll figure some shit out for next week and cover those. But that's just about everything. Don't forget to, if you picked heads in the coin flip, don't forget to go and make your guess over the next few days. I'll put a thread up tomorrow. And of course, go and enter into the Planet of the Month as well. More competitions coming up next week too. We've got Ali Bongo sending me a care package, possibly the Vault sending me a care package too. So there's lots of stuff coming on. There's lots of comps. So stay tuned for those. That's about it. Yeah, anything to add here? Any homework? Yeah, go and look at some strains on the seed banks and shit, and try and figure out something that suits you good, you know. And let us know what your favorite strain is over on Percy's as well. Do that. That'd be cool. But for now, let's wave. And we got interview on Tuesday and Thursday this week. You'll see that information going up in the Patreon section of Discord and on Percy's on Tuesday and Thursday. Good interviews too. So stay tuned for those. Yes. See you in a bit, everybody. Should we all wave?
Yeah.
Oh, Bryan, you want to quickly let everybody know where to find you before we go?
Rubberduckyisopods.com. That's the website. And on Instagram, rubberduckyisopods. I appreciate everybody that supported us over the years. And I did want to highlight, I have my first employee. She's outside the office right now.
Yes,
and I'm very excited for that because she's a hard worker. She's
nice.
You know what I
Cool.
mean? When it's like, it's a home run on the first day kind of thing. Pretty proud of my wife finding all that out.
Yeah, man. And we're proud of you, bro. Progressing nicely. Keep doing it, man. Keep doing the good shit.
Appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. And we'll see you on the next one, everybody. Let's wave.
Yeah, man.
Goodbye.
Waving and shit.
Hit that like button.
Bye.
Don't be a dick. That's right.
Booth it.
you.